Hey everyone, how are we doing? Welcome to the Nintendo Prime Podcast, episode 81, the final one to end the year of 2022. And as you can see, we're doing something crazy. We're doing something new. We're doing something for the first time, and not just having 3 people, not just having 4. We've been there. Why not make it a 6-pack? Because that's how we're going to do it to end the year. And you know what? If it ends up going well and you guys really enjoy it, maybe this is something we could try out a bit more often in 2023. So it's sort of an experiment, but also a hell of a lot of fun. At least I think it's going to be fun. Maybe it's going to be too wild and crazy. So let's get all the introductions out of the way. First up, I am your host, as always, Nathaniel Rumble Jans. The other guy, the other big man on screen, is you guys know him. He's Eric Moore. He's co-host of the podcast.
Hello, everybody.
All right, down on the bottom, we got, let's go left to right. We got Mike Odyssey. How's it going?
Yep.
Then Son Bro Nation.
What's up, everyone? Happy to be here.
Andres Restarts right next to him.
Hello. How you guys doing?
And then, the hype man himself, who's busy pouring something. I don't know what he's doing. He just beat Elden Ring, so he's all sorts of jacked up at the moment. HMK.
Hey guys, how you doing?
He's got
Hell yeah.
He's either jacking himself up more or he's trying to calm down. I'm not sure which way he's going at the moment, but
That looks like caffeine.
that looks like it might be a caffeine, but I'm not sure.
Something.
All right. Well, guys, we have a jam-packed show. We're gonna be talking about Tears of the Kingdom. Oh man, who no one even likes that game, right? Like, why would
Yeah.
I'm just waiting for that game to come out so people can stop talking about it. Oh my goodness.
Right?
Right? Jesus.
Yeah, because that's when the
Trash.
conversation will stop.
it's gonna
Right
become
when it comes out.
it's gonna be every video topic for like the next 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're talking a little bit about some, I don't know, Switch Pro, or I guess maybe not Switch Pro. I don't know. Some weird stuff happened today or over the last 24 hours that we're going to talk about, or maybe nothing happened. Maybe it's a nothing burger. I don't know.
It is another burger. Nothing.
We'll get there, Mike. We'll get there. We'll get there. Wait, no. You dropped a 21-minute video today on how nothing it is. So
Yeah.
if you were being nothing, you sure had a lot to say.
Yeah, exactly. I had a lot to say about it being nothing.
It's
All
kind of
right,
our
and then-
jobs.
Yeah. Then we get into our final topic, which is going to be making some predictions, bold predictions, conversations about things we expect coming to Nintendo Switch in 2023. We'll obviously just recap quickly the things we already know because, like, hey, guys, the Zelda games will come next year. I predict that. Oh, you know what? you know,
Right.
that's not
Wow.
gonna fly.
It's a phenomenal.
All right, let's just get into the way we start every podcast with what we have been playing lately. And you know what? Let's start with eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Let's go with Eric. How you doing? What have you been playing lately?
Good. And my Switch is actually here. I was actually playing for a little while. Sparks of Hope again. Still working on the 3rd level, but
Third world.
didn't
World.
get to
It's a world.
Sorry, my fault.
Hey,
God,
hey.
There's a difference between level and world. There's world
sorry.
one,
It is
one,
my Switch
world
Goaty.
one,
It is my
two.
Switch Goaty. So don't mess with me.
No,
As the original Mario Bros taught you nothing.
No, I know, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. World 1-1. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
Shit. So no, I've been playing some more Sparks of Hope. Freaking still love it. So that's all I've been playing.
That's awesome. All right, next up, let's bring Mike Odyssey up here, bud. What have you been playing lately?
Hey, I'm big. What's up? What's up, guys? Give me.
Been to the gym clearly.
All right, so basically, I've been playing. Anyway, I've been playing Final Fantasy Crisis Core, which is incredible, by the way. Love it on the Switch. It's running flawlessly. Well, I haven't played it on an Xbox or a PS5. I was debating with him between getting on PS5 and Switch. I mean, you know what? I'm gonna just, because you know what happened with Sonic. I ended up spending $100. I'm like, nah, whatever. But Final Fantasy doing good. I like to replay games. Nate, I know you don't like to replay games, but I like to replay games.
Depends on the game. It's very rare though.
So yeah, Final Fantasy. I went back to Animal Crossing, by the way. On Christmas Day, I went ahead and rebooted. I erased it and started on that day. I was just curious what happens if you start in the winter, and it's actually a completely different game in the winter. because there's no bugs. You can't catch any bugs. It's really hard to find things in order for you to complete tasks. So you have to kind of, you have to be very creative in winter. So if you start in the southern hemisphere, for those of you in Australia, when you get the game, and it's actually a lot difficult. So I'm glad that I did that, just to kind of know about that a little bit. Playing Mario, and just rambling. That's it. Not much. Oh yeah, and I got my tea, my vid tea. It's pretty good. Now I can actually talk without coughing, so I'm good. I'm doing good. I don't have to edit.
Yeah, for those who know, Mike's been a little sick over the last few days. He's slowly getting better though.
Yeah,
he's here. I didn't think he was going to be here today. So I mean, there you go.
You can tell if I talk, I sound a little out of breath just because of stupid thingy. So it's still there. I just have to take it easy. Don't worry, it's not contagious. It's not contagious.
Yeah, dude, you just gave it to me through the camera. What do you think?
Oof.
My whole family's down for the count.
If I breathe in,
That's how the internet works, right?
Yeah.
Like we can just throw dollar bills at the camera and it goes out to the audience, right? We're just
Well,
Oh,
he can always
if
send the
only.
bug through an email.
they're super chats, Nate. We call super chats.
they call super chats. All right. Next one. Hey, Sumbro Nation, what have you been playing lately?
Man, I've been split lately on games. So God of War Ragnarok is taking all my free time when I can do it. 25 hours in, but I'm not towards the end yet. The story keeps getting better. I made the mistake of playing that on Give Me God of War difficulty, which broke me after about 18 hours in, and I downgraded to Give Me No Mercy. And it's just because the naming. Why do they got to name it Give Me God of War when that's the name of the game? It's clever. They baited me into it. But anyway, after just being stuck for 2.5 hours on the same boss fight, I was like, it's time to downgrade and enjoy this game a little bit. So I've now been swiftly making more progress through that. And then I'm playing Pokemon Violet every time I get a chance. It's my favorite PS2 RPG I've played in years. It's fantastic. No, obviously it's great. I'm having a lot of fun with it, minus the performance issues. And then a little bit of Sonic Frontiers, but honestly, for how hyped I was about Sonic Frontiers, I haven't gotten the time to put into it that I want to yet. So it's God of War Ragnarok's kind of taking the top priority right now. Then Violet and Frontiers will get completed as I have time. So
Nice.
Nice.
All right. Andres Restart, what have you been playing lately?
So I'm still playing a little bit of Pokemon myself and Mario Kart because of the DLC. But I have this idea for like a versus conversation on my channel where you take two different games and that are kind of comparable and like compare them. So I don't want to say exactly what it is yet, but basically I went rummaging through my boxes yesterday and I found my Wii U and I dusted it off. And I'm playing Wind Waker HD. I fired it back
there
up
you
again.
go. Nice.
playing
Very
it
nice.
through. It's actually one of my most favored games to replay. I think it might be like the most replayable Zelda. And I'm having a good time with it so far. It's Wind Waker HD. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I got tired of waiting for it to come on the Switch, so I actually bought a Wii U and just done with the game.
Same.
Is that
Yeah.
not one of the best aged Zelda games? It's only gotten better
yeah.
with time. I don't know what it is. But
And the Wii U version is miles ahead of the GameCube
Nice,
version.
yeah.
Like it took care of every issue the GameCube version had, and just that game's a treasure, man.
Yeah. The only issue I have with it is I wish I could play it with a Switch controller, but
Right.
hopefully one day.
That's a thing.
maybe in like 3 years.
Heck,
Yeah.
I have to know after all these years, I haven't booted up in a while. Are you still finding Tingle bottles out there?
Wasn't looking,
Yeah.
so
Oh, that's sad. See, and back in the heyday, you didn't really have to look. There was just so many if you had any friends on you. But yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of active players in that game at the moment.
Probably not.
HMK, what have you been playing lately?
Oh man, dude, where do I begin? So right before I came into this chat, I was telling the boys that I literally just beat Elden Ring, and you just beat Elden Ring. I'm like, listen, I'm pushing 200 hours into the game, and I just beat it because I did not want that game to end. It was just like that. That's a games game. That game is all things magical, and I'm gonna try and platinum it. So I've been playing a lot of that. I've also been playing a lot of Breath of the Wild and Ocarina of Time, back and forth, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to settle the argument in my head. I'm like, which one is number one for me? Because I'm like, is it for a couple of years after Breath of the Wild came out, I'm like, right, this is number one. But then I play Ocarina of Time again. I'm like, damn, this game is so good, right? But then I'm like, number one, they're both tied for number one at this point. It's just wherever I'm feeling. And then along with that, I've been playing a lot of Pokemon Scarlet. I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy 7 Crisis Core Reunion. And then surprisingly enough, like during Christmas, I decided to boot it up again. I just decided to start playing Kingdom Hearts 358 Days Over 2 for the DS. I'm like, you know what? Let me just start playing this game again. And I've just been doing a whole new run of that.
Nice.
So that's what I've been playing lately. You know,
And you guys got me fighting between Elden Ring and God of War. I don't know which one to play first. I'm like debating.
Elden Ring.
It depends on if you
That
want
game
story
is
or not.
personalized.
But yeah, Elden Ring, you should just do it.
personalized.
I mean, it's game of the year, so I might as well give it.
That's what I'm gonna use my gift cards for.
Masterpiece.
I'm gonna buy Elden Ring. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
Game's so
so
good.
my fiance got me a PlayStation 5 for Christmas, which was
Whoa.
like
Congrats. That's awesome.
Awesome.
So I already had. So for those little backstory, I had a PlayStation 5 once before, but we went on a vacation like a year ago, and we were supposed to go on a completely different vacation, and her visa didn't, or not her visa, her passport, because of COVID, it was all messed up, and it was super hard to get it. So we couldn't get it in time. So we had to rapid switch our vacation, and we couldn't get all the money back from one of them. From where we were going, so I ended up selling the PS5 to sort of help pay for the vacation. Anyways, she's felt bad about it ever since. I kept telling her, "Don't feel bad about it. I'm a Nintendo channel. I'm good. I still got Switch games. Like I'm good. I got an Xbox. I got a Switch. I got stuff to play." But yeah, so she got me the PS5. So I went back. I've been playing Spider-Man Remastered on it the last few days.
Nice.
I already beat. The thing is, I never played
Such a
it,
good
it originally, and I beat Miles Morales first. So
you got kind of spoiled a little bit there.
Yeah, a little spoiled. So
bit.
it's a little weird knowing what exactly is sort of going to happen, but that's okay. It's still a hell of a lot of fun. That's what I've been playing some of that, and then Mario Party Superstars with the kids over the holidays here. Been playing a lot of that as well.
Good game.
And then got a new controller the other day for the Xbox Series. So
Ooh, that's
Nice.
Nice.
it's a nice one. Well, it's
Yeah.
I'm not really into the camo, but I am into the blue.
I like it.
I don't know.
Just
It's
a
kind of a
variety
color
of-
on my channel. I'm not sure if people are.
Mm.
So Nate, let me ask you: would you say the PS5 is like your most regretted gaming item you sold, or is there something else you regret selling more? I have a
Wii U.
personal regret. I'll tell you in
Wii
a
U.
moment. The Wii U.
I regret selling Wii U.
Okay. So mine is similar. I still have my Wii U, as I mentioned earlier, but this is probably a hint as to what versus discussion I'm working on. Playing through Wind Waker HD right now, but there's another Zelda game that I've been hunting for, and I really regret selling it back when I did. And
I have an idea.
that's Twilight Princess HD.
Twilight.
Oof.
It is a real pain to find. I was
Mhm.
all over Miami today trying to find it. Couldn't find it. Looking online. I
Hey,
tried to.
Miami?
Yeah, Miami. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Oh.
crazy.
Yeah, we got
Oh my goodness.
3 people in here from Florida, of course.
Oh, this is a Florida-dominated podcast.
There you
Right.
go.
Yes,
There you
right.
go.
It is.
Florida sucks, man.
Hey, at least you're not in Buffalo with 49 inches of snow. So
Oh no, give me some. I want that.
49 inches though.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, but how's your
that's
cost of
like as
living?
tall as me almost. That's not good.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really hard to find Twilight Princess HD. Like I realized today, I can't even like buy it on my Wii U like eShop. Like you're not allowed to add points
Really?
to the Wii U eShop anymore.
Oh
No,
yeah,
so I
because
actually,
you can't add the money.
There's
you
still
can't
a
use
way
your
to
credit
do it,
cards,
though.
You can't even add eShop
Yeah.
points.
You can.
If you won't work.
There's still a way to add it to your Nintendo account, and then somehow that balance will transfer to your Wii U if you link like your old Nintendo ID with the new one. I think it's until March. You have until the end of March before they shut that feature off.
So if you go straight to Nintendo's website.
Something like that. There's still a way. There's still a way because I remember reading through like it's the end of March of 2023 is the
That's
cutoff where
when
nothing can be bought.
Nothing.
I might
Yeah,
do
'cause
that.
Yeah,
You
Nintendo.
should
I
do
bought
it. Just have it
a
digitally.
$60 worth of eShop points just so I can try and get Twilight Princess HD because I gave up on getting the physical version.
Yeah.
So I might do that.
Mm,
It's still going to be cheaper than hunting it down physically because nobody's
yeah.
going to sell it
Yeah.
for under
No,
50 bucks.
It's $50 on the eShop, so I mean that's better than 120 or
You know, I think Wind Waker HD is only 20 on the eShop. Like whenever I booted that up to make an eShop video, when that one all went down, they announced that it was $20 for Wind Waker HD, and I was like, this is a steal. Even if you're not if you don't like to buy digital, that's still too cheap to pass up.
Man, unfortunately, I had to get mine's digital because I remember when Wind Waker HD came out, for some weird reason it came out like a week before digitally than physically, and I'm like, why? And I'm always like, I need my things physical, but I don't want to wait a whole week to play Wind Waker
I forgot
again.
about that.
I
That's
remember
crazy.
that time. We were starved for games too. Like,
Oh yeah,
you just didn't have
2013.
anything.
Ugh,
Yeah.
that was bad.
So I was in the same boat as you. I just got Wind Waker HD immediately digitally because I needed a game for my Wii U to play.
Oh yeah. The only thing I was playing was New Super Mario Bros. U and Pikmin 3. That was it. Like, ugh.
I played
All right.
Call of Duty on my Wii U. That's how bad it was.
Oh,
I really like Black Ops 2.
Black
don't get
Ops
me
2
wrong.
wasn't bad.
Yeah.
That wasn't
No,
bad on Wii
it was
U.
great, but
But
Yeah.
By the
what
way,
if we had
anyone
like something else like a Zelda?
Yeah. Anyone who super chats, by the way, there was one earlier. If it's about a topic we're going to cover later, don't worry. I have all the super chats saved, so we'll bring it up during the specific topic. I think we have one already about the Switch Pro stuff, so we'll get to that later. Speaking of the topics, the very first topic. This is. I don't know if we'll get off this topic. We'll see. Tears of the
Right.
Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom. So there's been a few things that have happened over the last few weeks. ESRB ratings, no alcohol. That was sort of a notable thing, I guess, compared to Breath of the Wild.
Oh, I got a theory about that.
Yeah,
Ooh,
we'll
man.
get to it. We'll get to it.
it.
We also had a thing happen today where some advertising at a Dutch retailer. It looked like one of those little pamphlet magazines that just, like GameStop hands out and advertises games. It had
I want
a
one,
mention
like-
of Nintendo Switch Online in there, which is interesting because Nintendo Switch Online isn't mentioned for every Switch game in those type of things. So what is the reasoning for that? And notably down in the right corner, it did show like single player per console, but it said per console, didn't necessarily preclude co-op or anything. I have no clue what's happening there.
I have an idea as well. I
I'm
don't know
sure
if
you
it's the
do.
same.
I'm sure you do. But I'm going to let Eric go first because he actually has something to say about this, and he's been begging me for like 3 hours. Tell everyone to shut up and let me talk. Eric, the floor is yours.
I actually have a thought for once in my life. So, Nate's going on about this multiplayer stuff, and it's like, okay, that's a good theory. Now I'm going to throw this out there and see if anybody can pick up on my theory. Link's Awakening, the new one.
Don't put that in my head. Don't
Yeah.
put that in
Yeah.
my head.
That's exactly
No,
where I'm
no, no,
going
no,
with
no,
it.
no, no. Yo, man.
Dungeon Maker.
Dungeon Maker.
That's a
Like,
solid
Dungeon
theory.
Maker
Custom
online.
Sheikah shrines or Sheikah shrine
Yep.
equivalents.
really
Don't.
Yep.
I mean,
You would
it,
play
that's
Zelda
exactly
forever.
where I
You
was
realize
going.
that, right?
Oh
Like,
boy.
oh my!
'Cause
If you gave the tools of Breath of the Wild and just remix all the things in all the shrines in that game, it
Yeah.
would be infinite gameplay.
Mhm.
Oh,
possible.
That's an
man.
amazing
possible,
idea.
yeah. Okay,
Imagine the
I'm
community movement behind
throwing out my
that.
theory
Dear God.
for Eric's now. I'm not gonna talk anymore. I'll let you guys.
Jeez, now my idea feels like
That just came out of no. I wasn't even thinking about
Yeah.
that. Wow.
Yeah,
I
Great idea.
was motioning while you were doing your video earlier today. I was motioning like,
Oh, I know.
Builder.
I saw you doing that, and I was like, "Is he like trying to play with Legos? What is
No.
he doing over there?"
dungeon builder.
Can you
Yeah.
imagine if they actually because dungeon building in 2D for Link's Awakening was like, okay, I can see how this is like done. You place enemies here, but like translating that over to 3D sounds a little crazy. So I was like thinking if they were to take that idea, they could still do something like that for like the Sheikah Shrine equivalents or whatever, where like okay, Sheikah Shrines that has this like lava traps, this type of enemies, this that you list them all. And then imagine that the game procedurally generates it when you
that'd be
upload it online.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, boom. That's infinite gameplay right there. Now that was like automatically Tears of the Kingdom, like above Breath of the Wild. On that alone.
Wow.
It would
Now you
be
got me
smart
thinking,
if they did that at all. It would be very smart for them to attach it to a major Zelda game, like a mainline one, as opposed to. And will there be the adoption rate of Zelda Dungeon Maker, the game, like Mario? Like, I don't think it's going to sell that well if they do it as a standalone. But if you attach it as an optional mode to your biggest mainline Zelda, that would be the way to do it. I like
It
that
would be
theory,
crazy
Eric.
too, because think back to when Breath of the Wild came out. Like you would just see all these different little videos of people doing crazy stuff with Breath of the Wild. So you're right. It would probably like make it sell maybe even better because people continually share all the crazy stuff you do with this. Like that.
The question is, what does the tool set look like? Because, they would have to, if you think about the amount of options that go into a 3D dungeon for Zelda, and maybe that's how they get around not giving us traditional dungeons this time. It's like, hey guys, that's community stuff now. You have fun with it on the side. That's like something you can do eternally.
Nah.
I still like we get traditional dungeons, but I'm just saying that they very well could make it a side value.
So it's a combination of Link's Awakening with Mario Maker, where you can go up online and then see everybody's dungeon or kind of play unlimited dungeons all the way through.
There you go. Like a
I think it's
dungeon
just
rush
a
mode.
test ground for that Link's Awakening was. It was a test ground.
Right.
See how it works and see if people liked it and kind of get their feet wet on it. And
yeah, there's precedent for that. Nintendo does do that. Like when you look at, like, for example, Link Between Worlds, like the dungeons were out of order, and what happened in Breath of the Wild, the dungeons were out of order.
Yo, you guys are giving me ideas, man. Because like, imagine they they do that like in Super Mario Maker, where you can like make a world or do infinitely dungeons that people create online. But then at the same time, when people make dungeons, they put parameters on people's like, you can only take this amount of weapons into this dungeon, or you can only take electric weapons into this dungeon, or you can no shields into this dungeon.
Oh, wow.
Damn.
Setting specific challenges, and then obviously there'll be like the Eventide Island challenge, right? Or like what they did in the first wave of the DLC, where what was it called?
The Trial of the Sword.
Yeah, exactly.
Like that. Yeah.
That'd be really cool. I would cry.
All right, we're too hyped now. I'm gonna be so disappointed.
In other words, Nintendo, see this panel right here? We should all be hired to be idea people for your next game.
Right.
I'm just
Put us in a boardroom when the sequel to Tears of the Kingdom starts development. No, hey, can I say what I hope it is? And I don't think it's necessarily that.
I feel like we're gonna have the same idea.
Well, okay. Well, again, we in HMK, you just mentioned beating Elden Ring. The co-op
we're in the same
summon.
page.
Okay, good. So the co-op summon mechanic in that game is so much fun with friends. Like I purposely go through a Souls game the first time completely solo, and then I'll do it a whole nother New Game Plus run with summoning in friends. And so the mechanic is they're not just in your world for the entire thing. It's more of you're in a new area leading to a boss, and you can summon them in for that section of the game. They help you, they get their experience points, and they go back to their world. Then you can hop into their world and rebeat that same boss in their file if they haven't beaten it yet. Elden Ring, they did it a little bit different because it's an open world game, but the same core concept was applied, where you're not co-oping the entire game together like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet style, but you are able to bring another player into your world. Now, the question really then becomes is how do you do that when Link is the main person? And then it's like, is that Link in Zelda, or is that Link that a 10,000-year-old hero and then the current day Link or something, and they're somehow time traveled into the same world? I don't know, but that's what I hope it is, because I think that would add a lot of fun to the gameplay with friends. That's the first thing. You could keep a Zelda game with the same core formula, but then take on bosses together and help each other out. And then you would have like an enemy a damage, basically, like the game would compensate because it's two players on one. They would legitimately be tougher to beat because you have two players instead of one. That's what I hope it is. But
you know what's crazy about that? Like Nintendo is like already 1 foot into that door for both online and offline application. Wolf Link. Save your Link to an amiibo and take it to someone else's house, and then summon that Link in specific sections, like you were just talking about, just like in Soulsborne's games.
They're so close. They're so close, yet they're so far away.
Right? Nintendo's never gonna do this. They're gonna do something else.
In the Soulsborne games, they're like phantoms, right? Like when you say your PvP or PvE, why don't they just bring back Shadow Link?
There you go.
And the theory is, in Tears of the Kingdom, it's supposed to maybe be darker, right? Like, well, what if there were just like the occasional Shadow Links you see in different parts of the world, and that's kind of like it's based. I mean, basically, take the mechanics straight out of like a Soulsborne game, which I don't even think is like too crazy for them to do, because you look at Breath of the Wild, they took a lot of ideas from other open world games. So why can't they take more out of other games since then?
Agreed. I think it would be really cool too if, I mean, it could even be something that's a mechanic that's unlocked further into the game, but like to your point, even if it's not another character, maybe it's like Link's arm ability can, generate a second form, a figure. If we're talking Phantom, it could be like a green figure that it just looks like Link, but now you're playing co-op with a friend. I think that would be the biggest game changer for replayability too. And just like if you were each on your own adventure, but you could help out a buddy where they're at in their adventure and summon into their world, I don't know. I'm all for it.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking like 4 swords, where each of them has like a little different
Oh
color.
man, making
Like
4 swords relevant.
Yeah.
Do you think it is? Does anybody just think that that's not likely and that it's actually just a side mode? Because I could see there being like a total, like, it's not a part of the main game at all, but there's an optional menu you can hop into from the main menu screen where it's like a co-op mode, like a 4 swords, or like but it's only 2 players, or maybe it is all 4.
If we're right, it's going to be in the main game. That's
Yeah.
what I think. If we're right. If not, it's just not going to be in there. It's just going to be like cloud saves, and that's what the mechanic is.
Yeah, who thinks it's just cloud save? But why would they have an NSO icon like that? Oh yeah, that's right, Mike. You felt strongly.
I'm gonna say it. The reason why I'm saying it is because right now everything you guys are saying are hyping, putting my hype level all the way to the roof.
Like, and then when it doesn't happen,
I don't have a parachute. I don't have a parachute. I'm like, wow, all the way up there.
We're overhyped. We're overhyped.
But
Can
yeah,
we just prove that it's cloud saves? Like for sure that it's not that it's something more than cloud saves. Can we prove that?
does it have it now?
The only thing I can say about the cloud save thing is that there isn't for all the other ads. So I reached out to some people that had access to these ads in the Dutch retailers, and they said that this isn't listed on every Switch exclusive game, and most of the Switch exclusive games have cloud saves. So it's kind of interesting that this is one that is specifically there, which indicates there's something. We don't know what. And one idea brought up by Kitsune84, thank you so much for the $5. They mentioned, I think Nintendo Online mention is about DLC for the game being free on the online expansion pass.
Oh, I keep forgetting they do that. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
That's a solid point.
That's a really interesting
Yep.
possibility. I mean, but they don't do that for all DLC. I kind of feel like, I mean, they did it for Mario Kart 8, and I feel like that would have sold
Splatoon
really
2.
well. Yeah, and Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
But like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 had that whole expansion pass outlined, and it's a major game for them, and they want to sell it first. I think they may throw that into the expansion pack later on, but they might want to make their 30 or 40 bucks,
Or what if it's just Tears of the Kingdom Clouds version?
No,
Don't say that.
Well, if there's a cloud version of Tears of the Kingdom, that would suggest there's new hardware, but let's not go in that direction.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later.
at most, I really think it's something attributed to DLC or even that of save reading, like online bonuses. Like, hey, if you have NSO and you have Tears of the Kingdom, you get this bonus, and then unlock the Champion's Tunic early in the game. He starts with it, but unlock this earlier, because more and more developers are starting to do that now. We're like, hey, if I
don't think that's part of the game. Let me see.
Yeah, okay.
Let me check.
No, boy.
That's not part of the game. I'm not sure if it is.
I like how the aperture is like really turned up high, so like I can't see the finer details of that box.
He's done this now
Yeah.
with 2 different other podcasts.
Oh yeah.
Well, for a moment, I almost believed him. For a moment, for a moment.
Good prank.
Maybe in like March, I would be more willing to buy all in.
This is a side thought, but we're all going to have to really do a good job of dodging all of the leaks that's going to hit, like it does for every Nintendo Switch game 2 weeks before this game comes out, because people will be posting the ending online.
That's
I hate
Scary
that.
times.
Yeah.
I'm absorbing all of it. I'm not even ashamed. Just give
You know
me
what? That's completely fair and valid. But like I've become so good at dodging spoilers, man. I've lived through Breath of the Wild. I've lived through Kingdom Hearts 3. I've lived through Melody of Memory, the Remind DLC, late, all this stuff, man. I didn't even know what the endings look like for Elden Ring up until now. Like I'm bunkering down Tears of the Kingdom. That's it. No, I waited.
There will be like even when the game comes out day one, there will be the people that will put the final boss fight as their thumbnail.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
inevitably
Not even day one, day zero, like day -1. They will
You're
do
right.
that.
Yeah.
Thumbnails is the main thing that gets me, because you can't look away fast enough, and once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. And
we do YouTube,
you know.
so we can't get off
Yeah.
YouTube. Like we gotta be here.
Now I got the hyperlink set up that goes straight into my studio. So like the YouTube studio panel, like I go
no
straight
homepage
there.
visits.
Like
for you.
no homepage visits, no nothing.
Wow.
Just like that's why like
That's
the
dedication,
straight
man.
As
analytics.
soon as like a
upload
whisper of
there.
game has leaked. Alrighty then. Goodbye homepage.
Um,
Oh man. So does anyone else have any like interesting ideas on what this might be, the NSO thing, or we kind of settled on it's either a co-op mode or it's DLC
Or cloud save.
or cloud?
I don't want
yeah,
to
mean,
call it
cloud.
co-op per se. I mean, it's what sort of co-op, but yeah.
Yeah, like some sort of like online integration when it comes to like it's not really multiplayer or anything like that, but only like they're able to integrate to other saves. But I honestly think it's DLC or cloud save. That's what I'm leaning towards. You know, I trust me, I would love like the multiplayer Dark Souls aspect to it, but I'm like, knowing Nintendo, I'm like, yo, Nintendo, are you gonna do that?
Does seem a little bit too good for Nintendo. As far
But
as just,
they've been very quiet. I'm just saying they've been very
Yeah.
quiet with this game for some weird
I don't know.
reason.
Both ideas we talked about, I can kind of see. Like, I can see them doing it.
Mhm.
Maybe they add it as like DLC afterwards, like it's part of like that Wave 1. It feels like Wave 1 DLC kind of stuff, like remixing the gameplay, but it's not something you get in your initial playthrough.
there should be something big that we're not even thinking about, because if you really think about it, this is the longest a mainline Zelda game has ever been in development. Granted, that's going through pandemic season, but still, this is also using the same base Hyrule from Breath of the Wild. No matter how much they change it, they already had a ton of the framework done for this game.
Right.
So something's got to be big that we're maybe not even, you know.
That quote where Aonuma was like, "You will visit. You don't worry. You will revisit the land of Hyrule and the skies and beyond." I'm like,
Yeah.
that one word got me really twisted. Like, how beyond can we get? That's why. That's probably the big "what are they working on" thing.
Yeah.
'Cause,
So-
you know,
Right.
I'm confident in Nintendo. Like, because my expectations were pretty high with Breath of the Wild throughout, and I was there since the beginning when they announced it, like when I first went to E3 2016 and everything like that. But every expectation I've had for that game was like blown out of the water when I had my hands on it, right? So I'm completely confident that I'm gonna relive that all over again for Tears of the Kingdom in new ways, So like obviously Eiji Aonuma producing the game is like, he has a really good track record, but a lot of people really don't talk about the fact that, Hidemaru Fujibayashi, who's directed this Breath of the Wild, Skyward Sword. I'm like, I believe in that, man. Like this,
Mhm.
it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. I am not worried in the slightest. I just want to know more about the game.
Yeah.
Just like,
Well, and that's sort of a nice transition, because the weirdest thing is that we're less than 6 months away. We know so little, which is just unusual for any Zelda game at this point. We usually know quite a bit already, and it's just sort of general marketing at this point moving forward. But honestly, we're still waiting for a blowout and what the hell they're actually going to show. Because for some people, they still need to sell them the game. Like for
Exactly.
some, you're getting it no matter what. But for others, they're kind of like, it just kind of looks like the same game. Oh, you're in the sky. That doesn't really mean much to me. Hey, we have those patents about shooting arrows at things while we're falling. Is that like a thing? How does that work? Is that even in the game? How is Hyrule any different? We don't have Sheikah Towers. Is there a different way of quick travel? What are you replacing shrines with? Or are shrines back in a different way? Like what? We have all these questions because, look, I watch a lot of Zelda theory videos. And one thing that bothers me when I watch a lot of these theory videos, and I'm sorry, I'm not going to call anyone specifically, but a lot of them act like the things they've said in prior videos are now facts today. When we don't really know, because there isn't enough information to claim anything's a fact. And that's sort of the problem for me, is that, like, hey, is that
we really
actually
don't know
Ganondorf?
anything about this game. Well,
But that's what I'm saying. But that's the thing. We don't. It could
There's a
be
lot of
somebody
theories
else. We
we
don't know.
kind of
Ganondorf, man. Like I understand what you're saying when you're like, oh,
It's-
are we gonna go to the past? Are we gonna go to the future and stuff
But
like
even,
that?
like-
Yeah, but that's Ganondorf. Like, come on, man. His
But even
theme,
like the
that's his theme playing in the background. Like,
Yeah,
Come
but
on.
even like
Ganondorf,
the
I feel
figure on the
Yeah.
the figure on the wall, like some people think it's like Hylia or whatever, and I'm like, maybe or maybe
oh, you
not.
mean in the latest trailer?
In the latest trailer, yeah.
Yeah,
Like-
like it could be Hylia, it could be an interpretation of another tribe, how they see Hylia, or it could be another goddess. Like, there's the possibilities, but nothing's been confirmed.
Well,
You know?
they told us
That-
that the
like-
title of the game would spoil the game, but Tears of the Kingdom, while it might be setting up like the progression of you have to go collect the tears, whatever, it doesn't spoil that much. So, like, what are
Exactly.
we don't know?
Yeah,
much
I
at
remember when
all.
that interview came out with Trin, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna be a spoiler. I'm like, okay, we're gonna find out the name, and we found out the name. I'm like, I got nothing. Like I got
same.
theories, but I got nothing on like what how
Yeah.
this is a spoiler. Is it gonna be
And
sad?
Zelda
People are gonna be
dies, we'll
crying.
cry.
Like,
Yeah, Zelda dies, we all cry. That's it.
All
I
I know
mean-
is I'm gonna sit here, and when we find out it's not Ganondorf, I'm just gonna I'm gonna clap.
No,
and I'm
man,
gonna move on
no,
with my day.
no, that's
I'm gonna
some.
clap and I'm gonna move on.
No,
with my
no, no,
day.
no, no. This is something I can bet my
It is.
bomb dollar. Now, like, if it's not Ganondorf, where it's like, okay, it's Ganondorf's shriveled up body, but then demise inhabits it. But not, it's Ganondorf, bro. Like red hair. We got the malice eyes that were used by Calamity Ganon. And what do you call it? The theme? His theme was playing in the background. The Gerudo like adornments in his jewelry and his what do you call that? Like a robe. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, come on. that's-
Pretender to the crown. Pretender to the crown.
Pretender to the ground.
The other thing
They had to hide that body for a reason. That's part of the mystery. That's part of the tears of the kingdom.
He is.
Ready to eat him up.
So what?
Can we?
Well,
Oh,
let's
sorry.
try to
go ahead.
transition into.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I had
No.
to trigger.
No, you're good,
Adrian
you're
a little
good.
bit. I had to give him a little triggering. Having some fun. So as I was trying to transition, when do you guys think this blowout's happening, and more specifically, what do you think they're going to be? What's like the first thing they're going to explain about this game in the blowout that you feel like we need to know?
I got all the dates. I got all.
You got all the dates? Okay, all right, you're
Okay.
up.
Listen, Linda. Listen.
Lynn, whoa, okay, Karen, let's calm down.
Listen. So February Nintendo Direct. We're expecting one. We're only gonna get some type of trailer. He's gonna come up on screen and say, "Hey, sorry, blah blah blah. We are gonna have a full blown Tears of the Kingdom Direct. Right? March will be the Direct. In March, not February. March will be the full Tears of the Kingdom Direct with, of course, Treehouse with gameplay. And I saw that they just retrademarked in December. They renewed the trademark for Nintendo Minute. So it looks like they're bringing back Nintendo Minute. And this could be it could be reintegrated into the Nintendo Direct, so they can give us some gameplay in that full Nintendo Zelda Direct. So I say it's March. I say we'll get another trailer, some kind of trailer in February, but I say we get a full Direct in March. April, we'll get the Mario movie. May we get Zelda, the new Zelda.
Mike, like
Yeah.
that timeline is perfect because like we get the Direct in February, we get the Tears of the Kingdom Direct or blowout or event or whatever Nintendo Treehouse in March, maybe early March, mid-March.
Yeah.
And then the first playable demo at the end of March at PAX East in Boston.
What?
Mm.
Are we there?
PAX East is happening at the end of March. They do that ahead of time, and then they have the first ever playable demo like 2 months before the game comes out. I already got my PAX East ticket. And I'm like, bro, the last time I was at PAX was like 2020, and they had that gigantic Animal Crossing booth. Nintendo can and will do it. Like,
I'm gonna go get my ticket right now. Let me get me a.
I'm telling you.
Nice.
It's gonna happen.
So my theory is a little bit different than that. I think what they're going to do is I think that they're going to make it another. It's either going to be a show opener or closer at the February Direct. It's going to be a deeper look, probably like a 3 to 5 minute trailer, but we see for sure gameplay, not just like these quick cuts of him jumping and landing, and then you know we're actually gonna get a gameplay trailer. It's gonna be a combat. We're going to get gameplay reveal. We're going to get some story stuff answered. They're probably going to show a little bit of whether or not Zelda's playable even, or maybe just give the dynamic, give a little bit of a deeper look at the dynamic with Link and Zelda and how this game looks. But I think that that's all they mention it at the February Direct. And then I think they just do a traditional, like how we've seen Nintendo market just about every game recently, which is that one Direct trailer and then just a bunch of lead up launch trailer and overview trailer, basically just tweeting them out day by day. We're just going to wake up to, oh, we got a new Tears of the Kingdom trailer as we get closer to May 12th when it finally launches. And so I don't think we get a Zelda Direct, because I think even though I would like a Zelda Direct, even though there's a lot of unanswered questions about the game, Zelda's kind of one of those protected franchises where gamers don't want to know too much about it either. Like they don't necessarily want to see a 30-minute blowout presentation like Xenoblade style of, well, maybe you do, HMK, but and maybe I do.
Like what?
Like, I just said I want the whole
hype
game spoiled for me, so I'm good with whatever they want to tell me.
That's fine too, but I do think that there's an element to the surprise. But I could see them doing. I don't think a Zelda Direct, but I could see them doing a separate Treehouse 15-minute gameplay section with them talking about new
mostly
mechanics.
gameplay mechanics and like combat stuff. That's what I want to like beef with. Like if you want to be mum on the story, be my guest. But I need to see how mechanically and combat wise this game is gonna set itself apart from Breath of the Wild. Like that's what I've been itching. Like I don't need to hear anything about story. I don't even need to know what Tears of the Kingdom means. So it's like, bro, let me see Link swing a sword. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, they need a game to show off the new hardware, so you might as well.
Here we go.
Oh,
Hold
boy.
off on that, Mike. We'll get to the new hardware later.
I know.
He's begging for this topic.
Nate. I did it for Nate. I know he was going to say something.
Oh boy.
I feel like something that should be pointed out, if we look at each mainline traditional Zelda, they've always had like an E3 where they get kind of showcased. This is the first time we're going to get a major Zelda without having an E3 showcase. So it's a very unique situation. Like we don't really have a good precedent to see how Nintendo's going to want to market this Zelda. So I feel like we are spitballing, right? Like obviously there's going to be something, at least something, right? Like probably a February Direct is going to be mentioned. I love the idea of a Zelda Direct. I love the idea of a Treehouse. I mean, I think we should get all of that. Like, I just think they should market the crap out of it. Will they? I mean, that's obviously a tough call now, right now, especially like there's the other. I know you don't want to get to this topic yet, but I feel like it's relevant. There's the question of will there be new hardware? Now, this new hardware, it could just be like a Zelda OLED. And if it's just a Zelda OLED, then maybe they announced that 2 months beforehand, and there you go. The same way they handled the Pokemon one and the Splatoon one. It could be as simple as that. But, you know, if there's new hardware, then maybe they got to put something out sooner. So, like, in my head, right, like, the earliest possible we see something about this is, like, a week after Fire Emblem Engage, like, the very end of January. But that's the earliest possible. Like, I think more likely we see, like, you know, the second or third week of February, we get a Direct. And then after that, I'm split between it being a Treehouse or like a specific game Direct, because I think you bring up a good point, like Sunbro Nation. Like, will they want to have a whole Direct where they showcase everything, or will a Treehouse that's kind of similar to what they did back at E3 2016 for Breath of the Wild, where they just show us the Great Plateau for 30 minutes? Like, that would kind of give us the answers that we would want from a Direct anyway, because we don't want the story. We want a hype trailer to tease the story. But yeah, just give us like 30 minutes of gameplay in a particular area that's early, just so we can see the mechanics. So either or.
This guy.
I do think to expand on that just real quickly, that I do think we'll see Nintendo do a full marketing push this time, or like, because if you just look at how they've been doing every Kirby or Fire Emblem or anything that's upcoming, you know, even like Metroid Dread, the push that got, like this is the most anticipated sequel to a Zelda game ever, and it's also going to be the best selling Zelda game ever, more than likely, with what Breath of the Wild accomplished. So I think that they go guns blazing on this thing. Like, I think we probably see multiple weeks of new trailer announcements. You know, they'll do billboards and like Times Square. We'll see ads pop up all over the globe about, like, I think they're going to go full blowout for this. But then, yeah, the hardware thing is going to be an interesting conversation for later too, because gosh, if there was ever a time to do it and launch something new, even if it is just an OLED Switch, I don't know why you wouldn't do one or the other right now with the kind of title that this is for Nintendo.
So look, this is what's going to happen. I'm just going to lay down the law right now.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
It's a
Oh boy.
Oh
prediction,
man.
But I think it's a fairly safe one, because I'm looking at how they marketed Breath of the Wild, which I know a little different. They're trying to sell a system along with it. We don't know if that's what they're going to try to do at this point.
Exactly.
But I think they also saw how well that marketing worked to drive hype for specifically Breath of the Wild, which outsold the Switch at launch. That's how big the hype was for the game. It was bigger than the hype for the actual system. That's how big the hype was at launch. So here's what's going to happen. It's going to be about mid-February. They'll let Fire Emblem Engage come out and all that. They're not going to want to overshadow that launch, and that's fine. They'll do their mid-February Direct, like they basically do every single year, and they'll have other things showing off. Heck, maybe they announce a Mario game or something. I don't know. They'll have other things they show off, and they'll end it or start it with Zelda. But either way, there will be a Treehouse directly following it for about a 45-minute playthrough of whatever the opening area of this game is, just like they did with Breath of the Wild. Since we can't go hands-on and do it, they'll just Treehouse it. Now they might end up going hands-on at PAX events and stuff like that, obviously heading into launch. But the point is, at that point, it'll be the first time we get to see raw gameplay to sell people on the opening. And the big thing about this opening area, because obviously I think that this game might have a smidge of expectation from Nintendo that you've played the prior game.
Yeah.
I know that usually don't do that with Zelda games. Almost every Zelda game is like, oh, no, it can stand on its own, even if it's a sequel. Absolutely. But there's still sometimes that understanding you played the prior. And they sort of did that with Majora's Mask back in the day. Like, hey, you kind of know how to play. We're not going to teach you how to play. We'll teach you new mechanics of your transformations. But you know how to control Link, right? Like you played Ocarina of Time. You know what's up. They sort of went with that expectation heading in with that game. And I think they're going to do that this time. So what this opening area, while it'll be some sort of tutorial-like area, it's going to be something that's going to look so crazy and so out of this world, and it's just blow our minds so much because they spent so much time developing this game and they had so many crazy ideas that we're going to look at it and go, wait a second, this is just the beginning. That's
I see it.
what.
Yep.
Oh, wait a second. Wait, all these trailers you showed us, right? Oh, all that takes place in the first 10 minutes of the game. What's happening right now? Well, what is this? Because it'll be interesting. I think I don't know how it'll end, because I think they'll try to get through the opening area or almost get through all of it, because it'll probably be either a pre-recorded or it could potentially be a live treehouse. I don't know how they're going to do it, but I just kind of think like they'll let Fire Emblem Engage do its thing. I know some people think they'll talk about it in January, and you know what? Maybe they will. Marketing material is already going out to retailers, so maybe that's an indication that something's coming in early January potentially. And maybe they don't think it's going to hurt the sales of Fire Emblem because they're two different audiences. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Because they can drop a trailer anytime they want. They don't even need a direct, right? Like they've proven that time and time again. They just drop things whenever the hell they feel like it. But I don't know. Like it kind of feels like they could do that. Obviously, they could do a Zelda only direct. I don't know. I think a treehouse is more important than a direct. I think this is the game where just like with Breath of the Wild, where the gameplay sells the game. So having a longer playthrough session, I think, makes sense. What I do want to know is, what do you guys think about the idea of, because they don't have like a massive public event that the whole world will come to? Yeah, they have PAX potentially to play the game. What about a potential demo for everyone to play?
That would be awesome.
They had more time to develop this game than any other
to
Zelda.
download. Data miners, man. Don't doubt the data miners, man. Nah.
Oh,
I would love
And
it.
Nintendo's have learned the hard way multiple times in the past. So I'm like, I don't know about a downloadable demo. As much as I would love that, Nintendo's
but they've
like,
also done downloadable demos for recent games, and all they did is they just said it's one part of the game and there's nothing else in the code. You can't get to anywhere else.
But usually that's games that are multiplayer that they need to do a little bit of like an online stress test. They didn't do it for Xenoblade.
This could be multiplayer.
No, they didn't do it for Xenoblade. No.
Or Bayonetta, or Mario Rabbids, or Kirby.
Yeah.
Kirby got them,
So,
right?
I mean,
I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
and don't get me wrong, but before with Breath of the Wild, I prayed like every day that Nintendo would release like a playable demo of the Great Plateau, especially because it got pushed into 2017. But
not everyone got
just
to
not
see
gonna
the
happen.
Great Plateau multiple times at E3. That year.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry.
Right.
I mean, what?
Oh man, that was amazing.
I only have like
Yeah,
12
right.
Zelda coins and
Yeah,
15
right.
shirts.
So Nate, going back on your theory about the treehouse, you were talking about the treehouse at the February direct or separated from the February direct, like right after.
It would be right after, like immediately after. They tell you during the direct, stay tuned after for a 45-minute Nintendo Treehouse.
Yo, I would scream.
And by the way, they've already done this before for other games.
Yeah.
So like,
Yeah.
they've literally done this in other directs. So
Yeah, what if they announce a Mario game? Do you think they will still do the treehouse for?
Yes. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Mario game
Mar-
would be
they
announced
announced
first.
Mario. That's probably a holiday game. So they got lots of time to market that E3 and on.
Yeah, they can chill.
Literally, you can just tell you what their E3 will be themed if there's a Mario game announcement. It's going to be a Mario.
Yeah,
themed
for
E3.
sure.
Yeah.
Unless if it's a 2D Mario, then maybe not.
I don't want to Mario. I want a Bowser's Fury Part 2.
I would love like a whole ass game of Bowser's Fury. That would be nice.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Talking about beta tests, that's what that felt like. It felt like a beta test for Open Zone Mario.
right.
Mhm.
Right.
Watch it be like the Wii U Zelda tech demo and just never becomes an actual full game.
Could be that too. That's the whole point of the beta test, is they're just throwing paint
Just
at
had
the
to,
walls.
just had to rip HMK's heart out one more time.
Here's just a random little thing that crossed my mind from earlier. Like when we think back to Breath of the Wild, they had a little bit of cross promotion for Xenoblade 2 with what was
Rex's
it, the
outfit.
armor-
Yeah.
yeah. It's like it wouldn't shock me if we saw a little bit of cross promotion for other things. Like maybe it goes the other way around. Like we were talking about how like it would be weird if they were to talk about Tears of the Kingdom before Fire Emblem. But what if like there was like some sort of like Zelda outfit or character that was added as a character in the DLC for Fire Emblem Engage, just to kind of like get some Zelda fans to maybe pick up on Fire Emblem while we wait for Tears of the Kingdom. I'm not saying it's likely, it's just kind of like an idea I'm throwing out there.
Yeah,
I can see him doing it, potentially.
Sure. Man, I mean, we could talk about Tears of the Kingdom forever. I was gonna be like, oh, do you guys think breakable items will be back? Because we technically haven't seen that yet.
I think so.
I mean,
it's
Cooking and
I'm more impressed. I'm more impressed with the chemistry in this group right now. The people, the group that we have here right now, the back and forth conversation, it's working out pretty well. And something that Nate said in the beginning should probably be a thing. You know, we could call it the 6-pack and get together.
Six-pack.
Sorry,
Yeah, the
I bring the
6-pack.
keg.
Nate and I got the pounds. 6-pack and a pound.
6-pack and a pound. Oh god.
6-pack chat discussion group.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Cool.
No,
I like that.
I like the idea of Treehouse. The first 10 minutes of them explaining kind of what the new powers are, because we've seen them kind of a hint of them in the trailers and things like that, where they kind of go over the powers and stuff like that you get in the new ones. They conveniently leave out one to just kind of leave it as a teaser going into the game, but go over the other ones, and then kind of 20 minutes of the first gameplay. So like a half-hour treehouse type thing, where they spend like the first 10 minutes going over like new powers and everything like that, maybe a little bit of combat, and then they kind of go into the beginning like demo area type thing.
I do wonder if like those powers, because there's a lot of assumption that like his arm and like the time ability, and I guess when it turns into like a dragon and shoots fire and stuff, that these are sort of the replacements for what the Sheikah Slate was doing. And I get that, because we had those 4 core abilities that just kind of got expanded, and it turns out with physics and everything, you do all this crazy stuff with it, which was awesome. But I wonder if the arm is going to be more like maybe a traditional Zelda, where it's an everything item, and you unlock abilities for it in dungeons, and there's more than 4.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that idea, especially because it feels like it might have like memories, right? Maybe what happens is you go to dungeons that are kind of like, modern versions of like maybe the Fire Temple or the Forest Temple, and they're uncovered from the initial like sort of Ganondorf resurrection earthquake.
Yeah.
You explore those dungeons, and then it has a memory of, oh, this was the Megaton Hammer, this was the hook shot.
Maybe we get memories of links from the past.
Yeah. Links from the past.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking with a theory that who says there's only one arm, and that with each dungeon you get a different arm, where like you begin with the green arm, and then you go to a dungeon and you go with a red arm and a blue arm, and these arms are arms of the sages from the past.
Yes, I love it.
And that's like the first arm, and then like each of them have their own set of abilities and whatnot, and then you unlock them as you go, depending on what dungeon, order dungeon you go, right? And then you look into their memories, like, oh, this is how we took down Ganondorf of that era and whatnot. And I'm like, God, I need this game now, like, bro.
Yep.
How do you guys think they can bring back some of the traditional items and like the traditional dungeon formula where you find an item and maybe it's an arm? How can they do that and still keep it truly open world, where you could go to the 8th dungeon first? You know what I mean? Like, that's the honest question. I don't know how they would pull it off.
Like, I feel the only item, and like, I get it, you guys, like everyone watching and everyone online is like, I know it's a popular pick. I feel like the only item that can break that flow completely is the hook shot. That's why I feel the hook shot is not coming back in Tears of the Kingdom.
We have to have it back.
No, we don't.
They wanted to put it in Breath of the Wild. Don't tell me I can't have it.
You know why it's not in Breath of the Wild? Because it would break
it broke
the game.
things. It broke the game.
So
you can't climb in the rain. You
They
want
can
to
give it
bet?
a little bit.
So-
Because like the hook shot had like a really good range. Like maybe it's just like it only goes like 10 feet or something.
Right.
Maybe
There was
used a little
something-
differently.
There was something mentioned in one of the patents about the hook shot thing, that little And then
Yeah.
It would
Man,
just be
but-
like faster climbing, right? Or maybe you can use it a little bit like Spider-Man. Like if you're falling, you can use it to like lasso real quick, which would be really cool. But
swinging.
it wouldn't change the game. It would just speed up the game, kind of like Rivali's Gale. Like,
Right.
Mm.
okay, now I can climb faster, or if I fall, I could just fly back up. Maybe they gimp the hook shot enough to where it's just basically just something that kind of speeds up your movement, as opposed to just breaking everything.
Right. And then we also have to entertain the idea that, yeah, Breath of the Wild did it. Yeah, A Link Between Worlds did it. But, I wouldn't hate it if Tears of the Kingdom had a little bit, not completely, but a little bit of linearity to it
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
terms of
I'm
like,
fine with that.
we can't get to Dungeon 5 unless we at least beat Dungeon
Groups.
2. Right?
Yeah,
grouping dungeons and what.
Like
whatnot.
Ocarina of Time kind of did it, right? First 3
Yeah.
dungeons, they're a group. Maybe you have to do those in order, but then after that,
Mhm.
fire, water, and then Shadow Spear. Like they could maybe do like 3 or 4 groups of 2 or 3 dungeons, and that way you still have a certain degree of openness, but there's still like a linear story that kind of complements it.
It's funny because I remember back in the day when I was a kid, I'm like, man, do I really have to do like forest, fire, water, then shadow down? And I went out here like breaking the game, and I'm like, okay, man, like, nah, I'm all right. I got the bow, but I did not beat the forest dungeon. Let me go beat the fire dungeon. And then I quickly find out where like Sheik appearing in Kakariko Village was a progression check, and I'm like, you smart Nintendo, because there's no way I can get into the Shadow Temple unless I get the Nocturne or Shadow. I get you, right? And I'm like, okay, so I can't get the Shadow down before I do this, that, or that. So like they could do something like that where they just like have very specific progression checks, but at the same time, like this is all still like supposed to be a big open seamless world, just like the land of Hyrule, the skies above, and hopefully the underground. And you could like still discover, like not discover, but like go around your way at your leisure. But in order to get to dungeon 1, you got to go here. Dungeon 2, you got to go here. And then like that could really be like this is the game trying to get you to figure out how to tackle dungeons in different like orders or different strategies. Like, hey, you can do dungeon 7 right now, but if you do dungeon 3, you get this, and that could help you out. So
Yeah.
I don't know. Nintendo's done it before, and they've been really smart about it. And then other games have done it before, and they could just literally rip a page out of that or whatever. So
Yeah.
Pokemon did a pretty good job, I think, too. Like they gave you 3 basic main quests to kind of do in an open fashion. But
I
then,
like that. I really like that. But then, like, when I found out that, like, I really hoped and thought that, like, hey, maybe Pokemon's gonna do like world scaling depending on the badges, like the amount of badges you get.
that was a missed
like,
opportunity.
It's such a missed opportunity, man. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, like, hey,
were
maybe
so
I want to do the
close.
psychic. Yeah, maybe I want to do the psychic gym first. It's like, nah, this thing is like level 52. So unless you got 52 Pokemon, like, it's gonna bop you. It is what it is. I mean, Breath of the Wild did world scaling, defeat this many divine beasts, and then you'll see a lot more silver moblins. So whatever.
Yeah, it was. I don't know. A lot of fun talk here. Maybe we'll stop the Tears of the Kingdom talk there, because guys, we got a lot more Tears of the Kingdom conversations coming in the future, and I'm sure we'll get the 6-pack back together for those conversations coming up. We know what's happening.
Speaking of the conversation in the 6-pack, I hate to do this, but I actually do. I do have to be out.
That's okay.
I got to dip. Like, it's been super fun. I wish I could stay, but like I gotta go.
You are totally fine, man. Thank you so much for joining us today, man.
I'll be back. I'll be back. But
It's a
thank
pleasure
you so
talking to you,
much
man.
for
Yeah, man.
having me. All right, peace out, guys.
All right,
Later, man.
Later,
man.
okay.
Later.
Later, buddy. All right.
Next time we'll get the t-shirts, 6-pack t-shirts.
Here
We have them custom made.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh, the 6-pack t-shirts. That's great. All right. So let's get into the next topic we got going on here. Because there's potentially new hardware coming, maybe not. I don't know. We know Nintendo's making hardware. They have publicly stated they're working on new hardware at their investors meetings, but yeah, they just kind of leave it as that vague. Hey, we're always working on new hardware. So of course we're working on new hardware. The difference, of course, now is that they don't say they're in the middle of the Switch's life cycle anymore. At least they haven't said it for all of 2022. So there is that. Obviously, we had all the Switch Pro rumors the last couple of years, honestly, dating back to almost before the Switch came out, to be completely fair. But we've had these rumors going on for a long time about a more powerful Switch coming. And Digital Foundry's John Linneman made a statement during their Digital Foundry weekly direct where it seems to be leading people in different directions. I'm of mine, it's a bit of a nothing burger, but let's read the exact quotes. I made sure to go and watch the whole podcast too, just to understand everything going into it and everything they said afterwards, just for full context. And sometimes you get a quote and it could be you're missing, an hour's worth of context for that quote. Well, there really isn't any missing context for the quote. So it said, so I think at one point internally, from what I can understand from talking to different developers, is that there was some sort of mid-generation Switch update planned at one point, and that seems to be no longer happening. And thus, it's pretty clear that whatever they do next is going to be actual next generation hardware. I'm going to invite Mike to come up and talk first, because I know that he thinks this is a big nothing burger, and I'd like him to explain why. Hopefully not in 21 minutes. Well, let's have Mike go first.
I'll do it in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Anyway, I think first thing what we have here is one person giving their opinion about he said, she said, they said, I think. He starts by saying, I think. There's no reassurance of what he's saying. First thing, he's not Nintendo. Let's get that out of the way. Until Nintendo says it, until Nintendo speaks out and says, well, they're never gonna say, oh, we canceled a Switch because we were gonna make it. They're never gonna say that first. We'll never know that. If that was the case, we'll never know. But then again, we have a person saying, oh, I think there was this because I heard it from some developers at some point. So for all, he could be talking about the Switch OLED, because maybe the Switch OLED would have been that more powerful console, but because of the chip craziness, they were forced to just give us an OLED. Because why do we have a dead dock with a chip that an upgraded? We can't get upgrades on that. It's upgradable, but we don't get it. And then we have a Switch OLED. They were forced to give us a Switch OLED as an intermediate upgrade, just because they weren't able to give us that Switch. So maybe he could be telling the truth that he heard it from this developer, and maybe the developers, spoke the truth. Yeah, they were working on a Switch. It was supposed to be more powerful, but that was canceled. They were forced to just give us a Switch OLED and then move on. If that was the case, then I would say, okay, then that makes a good thing. And then maybe this was supposed to be the Switch OLED, and they're going to move on to the next gen console rather than just give us a Switch. Another generation of Switch, because we're approaching 7 years, and I think it's time for another console instead of another. Because if they give us another generation of the Switch, then that'll push it. They have all they need to push it even further, because if this next gen Switch or this next iteration plays games in 4K, has a little bit more power to it, then hey, there's no excuse for them releasing another next gen console in 2025 or in 2026. I don't think it's going to get that far off. So what I believe is that, first thing, this is an opinion. It's just an opinion-based article. There's no real fact to it. He spoke to somebody, and he thinks that's what he understands. It's not that he knows this is going to happen, and he heard it from a person directly from Nintendo. We have our insiders who hear it from people in Nintendo, and then we have our insiders who hear it from developers that are working on games for Nintendo, which they themselves don't have all the information to begin with. Nintendo's not gonna spill the beans with them. They're guarded. So that's why I made that 21-minute video. I was like, no, Nintendo Switch is not console. It's not canceled. First thing, because it was never announced. So there's nothing to be canceled that was never announced. You can't cancel something that's not announced. That was never a tangible thing. If there was a Switch, I believe it could have been the Switch OLED. There's a lot of interpretations for it, and that's what I did in the video. I just gave all the many interpretations I could on it, and I tell like the Switch 4K and for the Switch Pro is not canceled, but the real reason is because it was never announced. There's nothing to cancel. You know, I mean,
So just to bring this up, because we had a $2 super chat earlier from the Ostrich where he said, you know, one of the Switch Pros actually the Switch 2, and that's one of those things is because it was never an announced thing publicly, anyways. I mean, the whole headlines everywhere about this quote is that it was an internal cancellation, which absolutely those happen. There's internal cancellations all the time. You never heard Nintendo publicly announce the Wii Vitality sensor is not coming out. They never said anything about it. They showed it publicly. They said it was coming, and then they just stopped talking about it.
It may still come
under the rug. It's swept under the rug.
Switch too.
It's gonna be an accessory
right?
for our phones. So yeah, look, I got in a few debates with a couple other content creators over this because you know, they're like, well, the developer said, I'm like, did you read what he said? He just said he talked to some developers, and the only thing that's like news in there was, at least to me, oh, it existed at one point. That was okay, cool. It's like we sort of already knew this from other people who talked about developers, so this isn't new information. And then he said, you know, it seems like, well, seems like to me means the developers didn't tell them it's canceled. They don't know. They just feel like, oh, Nintendo's not communicating about it anymore, so now it's probably canceled. We have no idea. They're getting on the phone and telling us, hey, that system we sent you guys 2 years ago or whatever. Yeah, we're not releasing that. It doesn't sound like Nintendo has ever actually said anything about it. And I do know from developer friends I have that some dev units for systems do go out that those systems end up never coming out. That is a thing that happens once in a while. Obviously, this is a unique situation with the pandemic. I know a lot of people theorize the OLED was supposed to be it. And there's the biggest evidence of all is the fact that the dock has the ability to update with a HDMI port that's capable of outputting 4K, even though it doesn't do that right now. Some people speculated that maybe that's just because that part's cheaper now because they were using older parts, and that could be an explanation. But what's not doesn't make sense is why the dock can update. Like what was it? It's an interface. What's it need an update for? Well, and by the way, they haven't actually updated it since, so it could just be one of those lost features that was originally for new hardware that we didn't get. But it does raise obviously a question because we are entering year 7 of something happening. And I want to mention that we do know that we now have even more updated evidence that something new is coming. I don't know when, because a new patent got published about Nintendo working on VR headsets, and not the kind that you slide your Switch into. Standalone VR headsets that either connect wired or wirelessly to a console hooked up to a TV, and can even involve people using their phones with AR. And you can have up to 2 of these headsets connected to your game console. And when you go through the whole patent, it's very obvious this game console, which isn't detailed very much, is significantly more powerful than what we have now. Which makes sense because the Switch is not powering 2 separate like headsets. It could barely handle the Nintendo Labo, if we're honest. So let's
yeah.
So like clearly this would be some new technology, and I'm assuming these headsets would be optional accessories like PlayStation VR 2 coming out. So that's just further evidence there's clearly something coming, even if the VR stuff never comes out. Although, I mean, with Labo happening and VR getting a little bit more popular, I almost kind of think maybe these patents are really well detailed. I definitely think
they're wireless.
Yeah, wired or wireless. It mentions both in there. So like
VR2 is wired, right? The VR2 for PlayStation is wired.
Yeah, and
that itself is pretty, you know, on the PlayStation 5, which is pretty powerful. So I bet if they are actually thinking of implementing that into the next Nintendo console, it has to be a well, you know, a leap from the Switch, and then that actually begs the question: are they keeping it as a hybrid console, or were they they just, you know, offer a light version for those light users who, you know, but then have one that's just permanently docked, you know, it's undockable. So
if they go away from the hybrid idea, that would be a bad mistake.
Agreed.
Yeah,
they could theoretically just put some extra power within the dock itself, and then the VR goggles would plug right into the dock.
External,
and you could still then have your Switch model where you could take it and go.
Bringing
Remember the
back
supplemental
the
computing
old
device?
supplemental computing device
Yes,
patent,
bring
everyone.
it back.
I mean,
Bringing it back around.
You
Bring
could.
it
You could.
around town. The USB-C port on the Switch does not have Thunderbolt capability, but let's just pretend it's fast enough to pull this off.
oh, that's what the new system's for.
I
Switch too.
suppose.
Yeah.
The
Or a
new
new
system
dock.
could have it.
New dock.
The new
I mean,
system could have. Well, but the
yeah.
Switch has to support it first. No
Yeah.
matter if the dock has.
Yeah.
You can stick a GPU in that dock, but the speed isn't fast enough
Yeah.
with the information to do it. But
I also want to throw this out there
Go on.
real quick. Sorry. I did in a previous podcast call that the next Switch would be Switch 2 VR.
Nice.
So
you did.
Yeah.
You did call
I
it.
did say it. So this could be, they could be adding the VR stuff. So I mean, it'd be a great name, Switch 2 VR. I mean, so you're switching, you got the 2, and then you got your VR. So
Look at you trying to
Hey.
get those clever names.
Hey.
Like, we would like to play.
Yeah.
This is a Wii for you. Except that marketing.
That
didn't
one
work out.
failed. Let's not
That
do
marketing
that
didn't
again.
That
work
one
out so
failed.
much.
They
How
could
about,
also just
how
do
about
it
just Switch
to
VR?
the what?
Switch VR. Switch VR. Nintendo Switch VR.
Are you going all in on this whole VR concept, Mike?
I am. I'm excited for it.
By the way, this patent made it very clear it's an accessory. It's not like it's sold separately.
Yeah.
But maybe something you guys didn't know is that VR is very blind friendly. It's very accessible.
Mm.
Like I love I'm legally blind. I can't really see anything.
Mhm.
So VR is very blind friendly. First thing, you have it right in front of you, so there's no getting away from it, right? And then you adjust the lens in order for you to be able to see the picture clearly, and the picture's right in front of you. So it's very blind friendly. So that's when I went, well, if they do that,
Nice.
I'm on board. I'm on board. So that'll be the most accessible thing Nintendo's ever done. Because you can't even adjust the font size on the Switch.
Andre, what were you going to say? Because I know you were
Yeah.
trying to say, and I want to hear what you were going to say, and then I also want to share why I think it's the Linneman thing is maybe not as much of a nothing burger, but different, a little bit
here
of
we
different
go.
perspective.
I love opposing viewpoints. Let's
Yeah.
go.
There's a lot that I want to talk about, but I'll keep it concise for now. What I was gonna say, I think if they're gonna do a VR thing, it absolutely has to be something separate, like maybe two different SKUs, maybe, or if like something how like Sony did it. If they even go in that direction, maybe something would come out afterwards. But I do think that they can pull it off. I remember. I mean, obviously
Absolutely.
Nintendo's already been dabbling with it, right? Like Labo VR, for example, and that's when it wasn't even like the system wasn't even built for it. They just kind of came up with that idea and made it work. You look at how the Switch is beyond the Switch mechanic itself. I would say one of its biggest innovations is how flexible Nintendo has been able to be with this hardware to do different things. Like you look at obviously all the Labo stuff is just mind blowing, right? You look at Ring Fit Adventure. And then the Labo VR stuff. Like there's so much other things they were able to do with the Switch thanks to like the Joy-Con mechanics and how it attaches to the Switch. The next leap for Switch 2, I imagine they'll double down on those abilities, and there'll be a whole bunch of other like different peripherals they can add or accessories that will work even better. And if they kind of build the Switch in mind for a VR kind of setup, it could be more legitimate. Like I see that happening. I don't know if like that'll be like the Switch 2 itself, but I could see it being a major component.
Absolutely. Sumbro, what was your opposing viewpoint to Mike? I got to put you side by side with Mike. What's this opposing viewpoint? Let's
Okay,
go.
all right, I got you. Well, so first of all, just real
Wait,
quickly on the VR.
the beef is against me?
No,
It's not beef.
It's not beef. I just
That's
think
right. We're
yeah.
starting to be. We're down to the 5-pack, so the beef comes out now.
Yeah.
Somebody
wanna
ring a
argue on
bell.
Metroid
Then we'll
Prime
go
Our
Yeah,
to
glue
WWE.
went away. HMK was the
Yeah.
glue
Yeah.
of this cast. All right. Anyways,
Okay.
let's go.
No, well, first on the VR thing, I think Nintendo does get into VR. I think it's definitely going to happen. But I think that patent, whatever we're looking at, is probably way further off, and it probably launches as an optional accessory to the next gen successor, like similar to what we see PlayStation do right now. And maybe that's how they break off and do like their handheld. Now it's a VR and a home console that can go portable. Like maybe it's that. That's really my main thought on the VR. But why I think that the Linneman thing was a little bit interesting is it's not around like, oh, they might just very well just be like, okay, yeah, we were wrong about any Switch 2 or Switch Pro talk. We know we're going to be wrong about it now. So let's just come out and kind of backtrack. Yes, it's absolutely possible that it's that. The big thing that got me kind of interested in the Switch Pro rumors was whenever Takahashi Mochizuki was out there legitimately publishing articles in Bloomberg saying that he talked to 11 different developers that had 4K capable dev kits. And that was the big claim. And that was all happening before the OLED got announced. They said they got manufacturers. There was a Surface style kickstand on it. It was a 7-inch OLED display. Everything was right about that stuff except for the 4K. So
port, yep.
Right. So then the question becomes, is this actually developers did have 4K dev kits at one point, and then Nintendo's like, we need the games ready by 4K 2023 or 2022, whatever the date is. And then at some point they're communicated, that's not our priority anymore. Just those dev kits, put them on the shelf. Like, is that the information he got? That basically the OLED was supposed to be the true revision, but it's not, but it didn't happen. And because of the chip shortage and everything going on in the world. And then because of that, whatever is next is now just a true successor that hopefully has backwards compatibility. But I think of that, like, how are you being that specific at a journalist organization like Bloomberg and a name behind the face, Takahashi Mochizuki, saying 11 different developers, and then name dropping Zynga as one of them who's releasing Star Wars Hunters? That really got my interest on it. So I was like, maybe that's the scenario and what they're referencing here. And it does sound like speculation on his part, but it also sounds like it's coming from conversations with developers.
I know what happened.
What happened?
Here's the thing. Takahashi Mochizuki claimed that he had sources in manufacturing and he had developer sources. And what he did is he conflated the two as being the same system. So the 7-inch OLED, the kickstand, the Ethernet port, that was all coming from manufacturing. Like, that was fact-based, straight off the assembly line, sort of details. The 4K, developers are working on this stuff. That came from developers with dev kits, not from that. And he just assumed it was the same platform. And it just turned out that it's not the same platform. At least, and maybe it was supposed to be at one point, but it's not. And speaking of the hardware, quick, I just want to get this other super chat hit from Taker6 because he said the next console has to be a hit or it's Tears in Kyoto. Thought that was quite clever.
That's a solid line.
So look, like we obviously, none of us work at Nintendo. We don't know what's coming. We obviously know we're entering year 7. Feels like it's time. Sales are slowly, I guess, dwindling down. I mean, 19 million is still a lot. Game sales are still incredible. Pokemon just set records. So the real question, I suppose, is what do you guys think is going to happen, if anything, next year? Because, I mean, next year's the 7th year, and we have a Zelda game coming out. And last time they launched a Zelda game, and it was like a year or two away from the next system coming out, it kind of maybe hurt the sales a little bit because they didn't have such a long runway. I don't know. Like, what are you guys thinking?
Yeah. I don't know. I wanted to actually ask you guys a question first. Like, why do you think people keep saying 2024? Like, what is it about 2024 that makes more sense than 2023?
I think it's the sales and just like the continued success. Like, it's not dropping off of a cliff like we kind of saw the Wii do.
Sure.
And it also, I think, I think a lot of people hung on to that investor statement saying that we're in the middle of the Switch's life cycle, but really people are not taking into account the fact that it still sells and gets price cuts alongside of whatever's next.
Like,
but I think it's a lot of that mindset. Like, no, it's too soon. What do you mean 2023? That's way too early. It's not that it is. It's actually Nintendo will, like, historically, it's 5 to 6 years they're ready to pump out a new console.
Yeah.
Plus, there's an old quote where Nintendo said, like, a long time ago, they wanted the Switch generation to last 7 to 10 years. So we're just entering 7, which means that's the latter half, but it also means, well, there could potentially be 3 more years. I mean, most of it's just sales. Like, 19 million is still a lot. That's peak years for most systems. And we're talking about that being on a downswing. Chances are the Switch is going to sell another 15 million in the next fiscal year if they don't release anything else. And there's still such a strong lineup. And I think what people aren't used to is having such a strong lineup late in the system's life, because Nintendo's usually abandoning the system by now,
right?
Focusing on the next. But this is also the first time people don't realize this, because the Game Boy came out shortly after the Nintendo Entertainment System. This is the first time since like the very beginning of the NES days that all of their developers are making games for one platform, which is why they still have so many games coming out. And Eric's looking at me all funky. They have had a handheld and home console riding alongside each other
completely
all the way until 3DS. was discontinued. So like for the first time forever, they have everyone on one platform, which means, there's all these rumors out there. Nintendo's just sitting out a bunch of games because they probably are sitting out a bunch of games.
Yeah.
Look at all they had 12 exclusive games dropped this year. Now the Sports Story came out. 12. Like imagine any other system saying I have 12 exclusive games coming out in a year. And we're not just talking all indie titles. We're talking like some major stuff, Splatoon, Xenoblade, Game of the Year type of stuff, award-winning games, Bayonetta 3, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, best-selling Kirby game of all time. Just banger after banger pretty much all year long. Even when we were going to like the second tier of games like Triangle Strategy, still a banger. Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope, another banger. Like every game that came out was like really, really damn good this last year for Switch. All of them scoring in the 80s, barring, a certain Pokemon game. I don't know if we're going to dive too deep into that, but another Pokemon game scored in the 80s. Yeah. So there is that.
I do want to say this. I totally agree with you. Like the year's been great. They've had consistent content. This is the best software output we've ever seen from Nintendo. But I still feel like Nintendo's holding back. Like that. That's what I
think I can answer that. I can answer that. And I made this point in the 21 minute. I'm gonna keep calling the 21 minute video.
It's one of the longest videos I've ever seen you made that wasn't a live stream.
I think it's the longest one topic video I've ever made. I didn't realize it went out that long, but I didn't want to cut anything out because
you mentioned at the beginning this is gonna be a long video. Then I looked at the time like, holy crap, is this 21 minutes?
I did that because I saw the length right at the end of editing. Oh, this is a long video, so I just added at the beginning because look, everything I want to say in this video is very important. Hopefully it but it worked and people enjoyed the video. But this is what I feel like it's different with Nintendo this year. This is and this is something Nate mentioned a while back. This is not the Nintendo from previous presidents. This is a different Nintendo with a different president, and we've compared this president a lot to the president for Apple, right? When Steve Jobs was in, he was an innovator. He liked to really drastically change things and bring you new devices like the first iPhone, the first iPad, the first this, the first that. Just innovate and bring you. It doesn't matter if it failed or not. He wanted to innovate and bring you something like right away. When Tim Cook took power, he is a money person. He is a strategic person. He makes smart choices for tomorrow, not for so that's why we started getting implemental upgrades, and then because of his strategy, it turned Apple into the first $1 trillion company, now $2 trillion company. So his mindset is I want to make sure that any move that I make is productive for the company financially, right? So this Furukawa is also a businessman. He's not a creative person. He's just a businessman who's thinking about the same way. That's why we've got so many iterations of the Switch, back to back, like 3D, 3DS, all that stuff. But this is what's happening. We're getting iterations of the Switch because he is looking for a safe way to transition. So the reason why we have all these games that are coming out and they're so great, and there is no fear that these games coming out will affect the sales of the Switch or the next consoles because of backwards compatibility. And I think that's going to be a big, huge thing moving forward for the Switch. And what Nintendo is going to do moving forward is that they're going to make sure before anything, they're going to cement that to let all the Switch owners know, look, listen, we are about to transition, but don't worry, we have you covered. Backwards compatibility is a thing for the Switch. It's going to happen where you don't have to worry about your earned money. Your games are going to be there. If you decide to upgrade, you can upgrade, get a better experience, get better quality. They'll probably release Breath of the Wild Deluxe. It's a joke, but and give you extra things with that new console just to entice you to bring you over. And then for the first 2-3 years, dual releases, and then slowly fade away with the Switch.
Yeah.
But that is something that a person that is business wise would do. They would make sure, like he said, right now we have 215 million. The last count, 215 million accounts. That's insane. And then that went from 115 the previous shareholder meeting that he stated that he's looking for a good way transition to make sure that he protects these accounts and that the transition is good. It made me think so much of the Apple CEO because, iteration of a console is a safe way to not alienate the ones who are still holding on to the, like, you still have the OG Switch. Have you felt alienated in any way by the OLED or by any other console that has been released for the Nintendo after that? You still have your OG and you still feel safe enough to keep it. That's strategic. That he's doing that to make sure that, look, you don't have, okay, you got your OG. Well, you got the Switch here OLED. If you want it, you want it. If not, don't worry, you're not gonna miss out. So that's what's gonna happen moving forward when it comes to a next gen console. He's gonna look for a way to transition into that without making those who have a Switch feel alienated or rushed or pushed to purchase it. It's not gonna hurt sales for games, and it's not gonna hurt sales.
iPhone 6S did.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I think, like, there's this, as a Nintendo fanboy over the years, there's always been this like narrative that Sony copies Nintendo. And to some extent that's true for sure. But I think all companies kind of copy each other when there's a good idea, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is a scenario where Nintendo should just straight up copy Sony. I think they should be very clear cut about their naming. Switch 2. That way people get it. Don't call it Switch U. And then people are like, oh, well, I already got a Switch. I don't need to Switch U. Like, no, just call it Switch 2. Make it clear. People know. When there's a PS6, people are going to know. When there's a PS7, people are going to know. And maybe release it at a point where people are like, oh, it's too soon. PS4 is still selling. Well, yeah, but your PS4 is still going to be relevant for 3 to 4 years. But if you want a PS5, you can do that. And that is kind of why I've been more talking about 2023, because yes, sales are still good for Switch, but I don't think Nintendo wants to wait until sales to start going downwards. I think they want to beat it to the chase. They want to maintain the momentum. They never want to see that dip. So let's say they wait till 2024. What happens if we only get 15 million systems sold? Yeah, I mean, 50 million is still pretty good, but that's less than every other year by a significant percentage. Does Nintendo want to do that? I feel like they want to not let that happen. So when I see like Tears of the Kingdom coming out, a game that has had the longest gap between any other major Zelda ever, and Nintendo has this pretty good history of using Zelda to push systems, are they going to really skip Tears of the Kingdom? Because there's not going to be another Tears of the Kingdom for another 5 to 6 years probably. And then you factor in, there's a good chance we get a Mario game in 2023 because of the Mario movie. Are they going to skip that too? So when I think about these different things, that's why I'm kind of I'm more leaning towards 2023 than 2024. Even though I see a lot of people saying, oh, 2024 sales aren't dipping, but I don't think Nintendo wants to let that dip happen. So that's kind of why I've always more side towards 2023, but you never really know.
Yeah, you're right, because if sales dip, guess what? The stocks also go down, and shareholders are going to be upset. They want to make sure they maintain a steady course, for shareholders to keep them happy as well. That's why they're having all these meetings with shareholders, just to keep them, hey, we're working, don't worry.
Yeah,
It's gonna be okay. We got
the new president too also said that he didn't want to continue the old ways with the drop off.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's also that.
I really feel like Andre, you kind of hit it on the head. It is legitimately smart if you just look at it from a business standpoint and you think that Nintendo is going to follow the numbers, to double down on the Switch branding, because I think the worst thing they could do is sell right now with the continued success of the current model that's being sold since March of 2017 and it's still selling as well as it is. The biggest mistake would be to totally rebrand and start over when you have something that's such a smash hit success that every kid knows the name of and every adult knows the name of. I mean, this is just a runaway success console. So if they were strategic, they will name it Switch 2. I do think that we will have our answer to 2023 new hardware personally, whether or not it launches with Tears of the Kingdom, because I don't see it coming out in 2023 if it's not launched alongside of Tears of the Kingdom. Maybe it's a holiday launch and it's tied to a 3D Mario. That would be another way they could go.
Yeah.
But I think that's a long shot. I think if you're going to launch a Zelda and a Mario, like Mario is going to sell incredibly well, even 3D Mario, like over the course of years. But I think they know they have the hardcore fan base with Zelda.
I got the solution.
Yeah, what's the solution?
And so they launch it with Mario, but they decide, all right, everyone loves Tears of the Kingdom, right? Well, now we're going to advertise 4K and we're packing it in with every new console purchase. So you get Zelda with the new system in 4K.
But
Like
do
it's
they
a-
do?
like it's a
Are you
holiday
predicting?
bundle?
Are you predicting
Yeah, it'd be a
tomorrow is the
holiday
holiday bundle?
Yeah, it'd
but
be the
then
holiday
they're-
bundle.
But then they're advertising this is how you also play Tears of the Kingdom in 4K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, they could do it. That would just make me angry though. If they had it, if they had it close to ready enough to go, and they decided to do it, on
They're
Mario
just
and they-
waiting.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
couldn't do this at launch.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I had to buy the game again.
Mhm.
Ish.
I mean, hopefully they give you like a free upgrade if you buy the new console and you still own the game. You know,
Yeah. There's ways to do cross-generational stuff. And I mean, Miyamoto's comments recently about how it's easier to get games to run from any time period now. Backwards compatibility should absolutely be a thing, and they just shouldn't go too far off the path that they're on. They have another potentially 10 years of success with this form factor, and then they'll probably start to integrate things like VR, and then they'll get into some kind of wild, wacky idea like Nintendo does to reinvent themselves. But I think that they stick with this for 10 years plus, just with more powerful iterations of it.
So nobody's on the 2027 bandwagon for Switch 2.
what?
The
No.
next Zelda game.
Dear God, I hope not.
Nobody's on that.
Oh Lord.
I'm glad you brought that up, Sandro, because that made me think of how easy Nintendo is getting rid of the Wii U and the 3DS eShops. You know, because if it's so
Right.
easy to bring back all these games into a certain console, what if that's another selling point where you just log into that console, you have your account, and all your 3DS games are there, and also all your Wii U games are there, the ones you purchased before. You don't have to buy another. You know,
what if they separate the eShop purchases from this next console? What's the riot going to look like online
man,
if nothing works?
Mm.
after all these releases, man, I've
Yeah.
never spent more money in my life on a console. The Switch, you know, it so I have to have.
and then they take it offline by 2027. No,
Yeah,
that's no. I really don't. I sure hope that they don't do that, and I sure hope that they do lean into backwards compatibility, because I mean, even prior to like Wii U to Switch, obviously that was like a big restarting for them. But in terms of history, GameCube and Wii are forward backwards compatible, and then you had the Wii to Wii U is fully backwards compatible. I mean, so it's not out of the realm of possibility for them to kind of continue that train. And they need to do it with the Switch. With the kind of library they've built out with the Switch, it would be, I mean, just a complete devastation to leave that library to die on that console.
What if what if this what if it's gonna make people upset, but what if Nintendo's charging us already to play online, just to play online? What if you have to have the membership in order to access that feature, backward compatibility?
Oh, that would be a controversial one, but it would probably secure a lot of subscriptions. I don't think they should do that, but I can see them continuing to make that NSO plus expansion pack or plus whatever they add on in the future.
4K upgrades for NSO members.
Yeah. And backwards compatibility, just add like the little action there. You have access to all your previous purchased games from other consoles.
Multiple tiers, and I think they keep expanding out their online content. I think every company right now wants a digital subscription revenue business. Whether people love it or hate it, it's going to be here to stay.
Yeah. And, I made this point before, but some people are kind of worried that Nintendo won't kind of carry over most of their online content already. But I feel like the fact that we're already paying for it is a really good incentive for them to kind of keep it up.
Oh, yeah.
You go back to previous generations, we didn't pay for a dime, right? So like they had no reason to carry over Virtual Console or anything like that. But now since we're paying for it, they have a reason to.
Yeah.
They'll lose their subscriptions.
Yeah, imagine the cancellation rate if it doesn't work together. So that's a good point.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that gives me hope.
Well, and they went out of their way in the investors meeting to talk about how their Nintendo account technology is forward compatible. I mean, that's a selling point for them on their investors, because they know they have a big chunk of their revenue figured out every single year. It's not like they're like figuring it out. Oh, maybe subscriptions will go up or down. I'm sure they have projections for that. But when you only have the expansion pack locked behind a one-time annual price point, like they have that money guaranteed for 12 months every year. And then they're going to look at their renewals and levers they can pull to get people to continue to resubscribe. I think that's a huge chunk of their business now. I don't know how much it makes up, but it's a lot of revenue for them. So I think they double down on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really interesting situation to me, because Nintendo is sort of in uncharted territory, right? Like they have a new president that we have no idea what he's going to do. Like he's a numbers guy, so we can look at other numbers guys and other companies and go, oh, will he do it like what Sony does? But then we've never seen what he's going to do. We also know that, hey, he's still heavily influenced by Shigeru Miyamoto and everyone else that was there during the Iwata era of Nintendo, where it was experimental city. Like, hey, we have this really neat idea. Let's try it out. Oh, we got motion control. Let's try it out. Tablet. Let's try it out. 2 screens. Let's try it out. Glasses free 3D. Hey, let's try it out. Like it was all about just trying new things. Sometimes I think, I know they call it innovation, but it kind of felt sometimes it was just trying new things to try new things sometimes. It didn't always work out. And like in the case of the gamepad, I thought it was great, but also it was pretty big and it didn't really work out for them. At least in that form. Obviously, by the time we got to Switch, it was a different story. Glasses free 3D. I mean, they eventually were releasing Switches or releasing 3DSs that you didn't even have 3D. So, and all of them had sliders to turn it off because they knew, hey, this does give people headaches, which probably means that it can't really be a core feature of the system, even though it's like in the name of the system, because half your audience can't even really use it. So, but it's interesting because we don't know what Nintendo's going to do, and I think we had a report from an investors meeting earlier this year that Nintendo was maybe a little bit worried about the transition, and I can understand if they are because. I mean, let's just be honest. Switch is bigger than Wii. It's starting to approach DS levels of popularity, which they haven't obviously seen since the DS. Maybe it goes beyond that. Maybe it outselling it and becomes the best selling system of all time. If they keep selling Switch for the Switch as is, or let's say they have a Pro model come out next year, they count in the same family, and they keep going. I mean, it's going to sell over 155 million. It's going to become the best selling individual platform we've ever seen. I think it's interesting. That I don't know if Nintendo knows right now how to really transition. Right now, they're just piling games out. They're just chucking them out. I mean, we got a packed beginning of next year. Like, just what we know, it's packed right now. Like, there's so many games coming out. And this is not even counting games we don't know about. Games that are rumored, like Donkey Kong and Metroid Prime HD. Do I dare bring up the Wind Waker?
That's not happening.
At this point, I don't think so. No, that'll be the next system,
if at all. Yeah.
The next system, if we see it, like whenever they decide to release those GameCube remasters in the next few years.
Just give me a moment here, just to highlight something, right? Like, to your point, let's ignore things we don't know about. We count the games we know about, and then we also count the DLC. It gets kind of obscene, right? Because we have Fire Emblem Engage, we have
and it's DLC.
That's getting DLC, right? We have Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. Then we have the Bayonetta Origins thing. And we're going to get waves 4, 5, and 6 for Mario Kart throughout the year. We're getting Tears of the Kingdom. That's probably going to have DLC as well, right? So 2 and 3, we're going to get a paid expansion for that at some point too. So that's coming out. And the Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that's going to have a paid deal. It's going to have like a story DLC.
Yeah, there's a roadmap for already.
It's probably going to be like Torn of the Golden Country, which is going to have its own physical release on top of that. Yeah. And then with Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope, there are 2 story DLCs coming out, one this summer and one the holiday.
And we haven't even got the Scarlet and Violet.
Oh, Scarlet and Violet is going to have 2 probably significant
that's
DLC.
So much content this year.
It is
insane.
Yeah, like. They could get away with just a DLC in the games they have so far. They won't because that would be bad. But like,
it would be a bad look. It would be.
But there's content to come out throughout the year. Is my main point. Like,
and I think people's main argument is that Nintendo's games are coming, but maybe third party support starting to dwindle. We're starting to see more cloud games than anything else. And
by the way, I didn't mention Octopath Traveler 2 because it's not being published by Nintendo.
Yeah, and it's also multi-platform.
It's multi-platform now.
Which is, by the way,
game coming.
No problem with it being multi-platform, by the way. It's awesome. More people should play it. The last one went multi-platform after some timed exclusivity, so I'm cool with that. But if people want to count it as an exclusive, it's just another quality third party game that'll probably sell best on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
watch Hogwarts Legacy sell best on Switch.
Oh, that would be insane. I mean, I think that only happens if new hardware comes with Zelda and it's actual localized version, and somehow Zelda before we get to July ends up moving like 20 million of this new system.
Mm-hmm.
Then Hogwarts Legacy could end up selling really, really well because people might want it in this awesome
maybe
portable
10
form.
million.
I know 20 million's pushing it a little, but I'm just saying, you never know. Maybe they've been banking these Switch Pros for over a year. They just got like 50 million sitting in a warehouse somewhere.
Yeah, you
have to release it because they got too many of them banked up. They got to get rid of it.
You could argue that all these games coming out and all this continued support when it comes to the Mario Kart waves and everything is just Nintendo's letting the people know that the Switch is not going anywhere. It's still getting continued support. So maybe it's strategically done. Having Mario Kart be all the way to the end of 2023 is telling people, look, we're still supporting the Nintendo Switch. You have nothing to worry about. And this was their plan the entire time. Expand the life of the Switch and offer all these updates and upgrades, letting people know we're safe. My console is still at least to the end of 2023. I'm getting updates for Mario Kart and for other games for
But that is also why people think 2024 is more likely because of all this DLC. But because I think the system's going to be backwards and forwards compatible for a few years, I don't think that point really matters.
Yeah. And
it's definitely assurance we're getting support, though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that we need to consider that now. Remember before I mentioned that all the development teams are working on single platforms now, and yeah, I think that includes whatever is next. That maybe we need to get used to the idea that Nintendo is just going to have a lot of content every year, and that's just the way it's going to be. It doesn't matter if new hardware is coming or not, and we're just not used to that. It's just not something we're used to because they've always been split between two platforms.
That's true.
Now they're not.
Mm-hmm.
So they just might just have I'm not saying we're gonna have 12 exclusives every year like last year, or we're gonna have 2017 year every single year, or even second half of 2019 all the time. But the idea of anywhere from 5+ exclusive games dropping every single year plus DLC isn't crazy to me to think Nintendo could just do that every year.
I think 12 exclusives is not really a tough expectation. You go back to the Wii U 3DS days, they were in the 20s every year. It just some of them were smaller projects, but
a lot of that was also third parties making games specifically for Wii back in those days too, or specifically for DS. And we don't have as many of those, it seems, this time around, but the ones we do get are big gets. Big gets. Golf Story maybe on the lighter side, but then Triangle Strategy, Live Alive, these, those ended up being pretty big gets for them.
Did Nintendo publish Harvestella? Or is that just Square Enix being
I think Square Enix published it. But
it is a really nice exclusive, though.
Think about all those farm simulators. That's the big one that's being pushed because it's exclusive on the system.
But see, here's the big thing with all of this. Imagine if we could be talking about these kind of first-party releases already being a stacked year for you being a Nintendo Switch owner, but then also you get all the big third-party stuff. Everything that people are buying a PlayStation and Xbox for is not a cloud port. You get at least you get at least a toned down version of it. Doesn't have to look
that
the
would
best,
be a huge selling point.
It would be huge. The library of games would be second to none if we got a Steam Deck level of power in a Nintendo Switch, which is why I think so many people want to see it, but probably why they're also burnt out on the topic because they've been wanting that for so long.
And then
let's
promise it with rumor after rumor, and it's coming, and it's holiday, and it's getting announced at E3. It's imminent.
So just let me nerd out here for a second, right? Just hypothetical. Right, going down this road. Let's say there is new hardware that comes out. Maybe it does launch alongside Tears of the Kingdom. That's what I want the most. I'm trying to be
right there with you.
I'm trying to be objective about this. But what I want the most is Tears of the Kingdom, better performance, higher resolution in May with new hardware. But hypothetically, if this happens, there are some third-party exclusives or enhanced games. Say Hogwarts Legacy runs pretty well. And all of a sudden, playing Hogwarts Legacy on your Switch 2 is a legitimate option. It isn't a gimped version, right? And then I'd be excited to play it on there, especially because it would be a hybrid. It would be portable, which would make it even better. And then maybe they do something crazy where they release a version of Elden Ring on Switch 2 as well. People would love that. And then the Resident Evil game, there's a pretty good Resident Evil fan base on Nintendo. If that comes out for Switch 2, people will be all aboard that. And then let's not forget that Microsoft might commit to a 10-year plan to Call of Duty on Switch. What if the next Call of Duty comes out next holiday for Switch 2? Those are all the kind of games that people will be oh, I love my Nintendo and I love playing portably, but I can't do that really well on my Switch. I'll buy a Switch 2. And if you also promise Mario and Zelda and F-Zero in 4K at 60 FPS, I think it'll sell. I don't think sales will be the concern for Nintendo.
Imagine the amount of people that will show up with their Switches playing Call of Duty at work if they launch that next holiday. Like,
What if it becomes
Yep.
a scenario where Switch 2 becomes the best system for software like that?
yeah, that's where the gap is at right now. If Nintendo could do the best of both worlds with what they're doing with first party content and incorporate third party, they're almost untouchable at that point. Yeah,
Yep.
you might get better frames and a better core resolution with a home console like a
But if it's
PS4, 5 or
close?
Series X. But if it's close enough, I think that's all most gamers want.
So what we're saying is Sony's worried about the wrong company when it
Yeah.
comes to these acquisitions.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Because Nintendo's about to be like the first 200 million system seller and just going to say crap on all. Oh, Call of Duty sells a lot. Oh, you kept Call of Duty. We got it. And 3 years in, we're the best selling version of Call of Duty. Have a good day.
Nate, I don't know how much time we have, but I kind of want to go in that direction because you just mentioned 200 million, right? And that's a joke.
I've got
But-
time.
But just hear me out here for a second, right? Because it's interesting because today, you know, from that podcast, it suggests that there isn't a Switch Pro. But I have talked about how maybe this idea of what the next system is for Nintendo is a little blurred. Like it's next gen, but it's also not at the same time. Because we look at sales, right? Like so Switch right now is on the cusp of being the third best selling system of all time, right? It's passing PS4 and or rather PS4 and it's passing Game Boy and Game Boy Color. It's going to be third, and then it's about 30-ish million away, 35 million away from DS around at 154 and then PS2 at around 155, right? Like give or take, that's what we're looking at. So I mean, like imagine if Nintendo does a thing where basically what they did in the 90s with the Game Boy and the Game Boy Color. The Game Boy could have been its own generation, but they lengthened that generation by adding a system in the family that's arguably already a generational step up, but at the same time not.
Mhm.
It plays the same games, enhances those games, has some exclusives, extends the generation, and they include it as part of the sales number. And if they do that, then I could see them getting to 200 million. Because
Yeah.
if this next system adds 4 or 5 more years to the system's lifespan, and it acts as a next generation thing, the same way we're talking about games run and look better, it gets third-party exclusives that run good enough, they could probably continue to sell 20 million every year for another 4 years.
Absolutely. There's a point here I want to bring up. Someone mentioned this in the chat. Let me show their comment here. Javier Nunez says the longer it takes, the more likely that they will develop it with older technology. I think what's interesting in thinking about that thought process is I do think that there is something to the fact that Nintendo does like to use slightly older technology. They're not necessarily into the latest and greatest. Now, to their credit, the Tegra X1 at the time was the most powerful gaming mobile chip at that moment. It just was quickly surpassed. And like the timing of the Switch's release meant, hey, stuff coming out by the end of 2017 is going to be more powerful. But at the beginning, there really wasn't. So it was sort of top of the line at that moment for what they were trying to achieve. But Nintendo does do that. Like a big thing Nintendo considers, even when they were competing for power with the N64 and the SNES and the GameCube, one thing they always considered was, can we make this affordable and can we make money at launch? And they don't like to sell a $500 system and not make money. Like that's just
Right.
like what PS5 is doing with Xbox, that they don't like doing that. They want to make profits out the gate. Like when they lost money having to cut the price of the 3DS, that was a outlier. Nintendo does not like losing money. And it was primarily the 3D technology that was so dang expensive that led to the $250 price point in the first place. So Nintendo doesn't like to have to cut prices like that. So they like to use slightly older tech because it's cheaper and they can get more of it and they can sell you a system at that 300 or under price point, which they think, based on their history, is the sweet spot for mass market appeal. So I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing for them to use older technology. Technically, Steam Deck is old tech now. That's using a generation old technology now. Like people don't realize that's old news. What's in the PS5 and Xbox Series? That's even older news. That tech is old now.
Every year, this new
Old
tech
now,
coming
man.
out.
That PS5's 2 generations behind. Like we don't like to think about it that way because we're so used to console. No. It's a 5, 6. No, everything's using PC components now, which means everything is basically old the moment it comes out.
Right.
PS5 came out the year that's like, oh, everything's brand new. Guess what? We're 2+ years from now, and there's been 2 more generations of hardware, so it's now old. So because technology just moves at an incredible pace, so I don't think it's a bad thing for Nintendo to necessarily use older stuff. I never viewed that as a negative to their thought process. I know that it's the opposite of what Sony and Microsoft like to do. They like to hit you with the latest when it releases, get the longest life you can out of it. But as we're seeing with, hey, this is 2015 technology, it just, at least is projected for fiscal year 22-23 to sell 19 million units in its 6th year. And yet this is like 7-8-year-old technology. Clearly Nintendo doesn't think old tech can't sell. So
you ever think about this? You ever think about how the jump from 3DS to Switch is like maybe the most insane jump in tech we've ever seen?
Sure.
Like, if you came from Wii U, okay, maybe not that substantial, but being portable is pretty crazy. But going from a 3DS, which did launch for $250, to Switch, which is only $50 more, which is just like, I don't even know how many more times more powerful. I'm just going to throw a number out. 20,
from
30
megabytes of RAM to gigabytes.
Yeah, from 240p to potentially 1080p.
I was gonna say there's still 240p on Switch. Let's not pretend that doesn't exist.
Yeah, but it's just a crazy leap in terms of like mobile power. Like, it was just insane.
Well, that's where I think Nintendo's honestly kind of pigeonholed themselves into this hybrid form factor from their own customer base, whether they realize it or not. Because how are you going to tell us that once upon a time we could play the mainline AAA brand new Zelda and Mario games wherever we are in the world? Doesn't matter. You're going on a trip cross country, you throw that Switch in your backpack, you have full access to play it anywhere. And then if you take a step back from that and say, no, now you're tied to a console to play the main games, and we're going to release a separate light console that's portable and it doesn't run the same games. Like, I feel like they are in such a different scenario this generation than they've ever been, because we've seen them hit the 100 million mark with the Wii, and we've seen them do it on portable systems, but we've never seen a hardcore fan base attached to that. And that's where we are with the Switch, is it's like they have hardcore fans that love playing all the games with the flexibility to play them however they want. It is so too early to pull the plug on that being the option. So I think they have to do that. And then to expand upon like the whole, how they buy old technology and sell it and don't like to sell it at a loss. Yes, but also would we maybe see Furukawa entertain the idea that with how much digital sales are going up, and that's driving additional revenue from the eShop downloads. And if we attract in the third party with more powerful hardware that's easier to run on our consoles and not all these hoops to jump through, does it not just make business sense? Can
we just get the graves out for everyone? We're done. Look, you guys go ahead and argue with the FTC. Meanwhile, we're burying you. And look, our next generation system, we're still going to sell it for $300, and everyone can just suck it. Like, we're gonna let you guys. You're wrecked. Go away.
They could go to 400 comfortably with a more powerful chipset, and people will pay it right now. Because
I mean, if it's something that's more powerful than Steam Deck, if it's more powerful than Steam Deck and they charge 400, it's going to be the best selling system for the next many years.
Or sell an optional dock for $100 that gives you the 4K and sell it for $350. You know,
will not let go of that supplemental computing device. Have any of you ever used one? Have any of you ever used a supplemental computing device with your laptop?
I did a lot of research on the eGPUs from the Razer laptop before I got my gaming laptop, just to see. I mean, it's possible. It's not with the current Switch that we have now. No. But my thing is if they designed it that way at its core, they could definitely take advantage of an eGPU.
And because of the patent, we know it's not like a crazy thing. We can't say Nintendo's never thought of it, because they did. Right. Because they thought about it at one point. Somebody at Nintendo thought about it.
They might need something like that if they're powering a VR console
when the Switch came out, they had to clarify that the dock did not boost the power of the system. And it was a little confusing, because when it had the power source, it would overclock, right? Or raise its clock speed.
Yeah. And then and since then they've added a third, even higher profile. Since then that helped a little bit. I still don't understand one thing I don't get, and this is sort of a little bit off topic, talking about the next generation Switch, is why they didn't improve the cooling in the Switch OLED and just let us run the Tegra X when it's stock. The chip's already there. We can already hack the system and overclock it to stock. So just all we needed was better cooling that wouldn't have burned our hands.
I think it was basically like what Summer was saying earlier. Like they didn't want to alienate anyone.
But would anyone be alienated with a system that's technically more powerful, like 5 years in? I just don't see how that alienates people.
Maybe maybe it's all about this moment where they're like, hey, now we have the gimmick that your systems will look and run better on this version of the Switch. Maybe they didn't want to pull that card yet.
Okay. So to kind of round out this topic, are we getting new hardware in 2023? I put a poll out, so we'll get to the poll from the people. But are we getting new hardware next year? And I don't mean like a revision that's like a Switch Lite OLED. I mean something that's actually more powerful.
Something that can run Zelda at 4K.
Yeah.
Well, that I didn't go that far.
All right. Something that can run Zelda
And
at
1080p.
above
something
1080p.
that's just more powerful.
60 frames per second.
I mean, they have to do 4K though. Like if it's, you know what I mean? Like
They have to.
they're not going to launch a 1440p. Like there's not going to be an upgrade from 1080p unless they figure out a way to do 4K and they do it through DLSS or whatever they got to do. I'm not saying native. I don't think that's necessarily possible, but upscale to 4K is possible. And every TV being sold right now in homes is 4K. You have to go out of your way to not find a 4K TV.
I can actually combat that right now. My daughter got a little visit from Santa Claus and got a nice little TV present that was only $100 at the store. And it was 720p, and they're still selling 720p TVs.
They still make them, but to be fair, did you guys buy that for your living room or for your daughter's
It's for
room?
It's for her bedroom. I don't even watch TV in my living room. This giant TV. That's for my set. That's where I watch TV. Yeah. You know, I need my 85 inches for some reason.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that.
I'm compensating.
I need to upgrade mine.
I will update my monitor when it's time to play Zelda in 4K.
There you go.
Well, I already have a 1440p 49-inch ultra wide monitor that if they would let me play Zelda on that without me having to use an emulator, that would just be talk about immersion. Anyways, so you guys are kind of avoiding the question though. The question was, are we getting the new hardware next year?
I vote yes, but I'm voting yes out of my urge as a player. I don't necessarily think that it is the most solid thing that we're going to get it, but I do think that it either happens with Tears of the Kingdom or it doesn't.
I'm willing it into existence.
That's where I'm at.
I say yes, but I say yes with fear in my heart.
Yeah. I say yes with all the confidence in the world because I'm the king. And it's
the power of 1,000 suns.
Yeah, exactly. With the power of the Master Sword in 4K, I say
I can't be stopped.
No tears for me. No tears for me. Only for the kingdom.
Eric,
I say yes just because I want it.
Oh my gosh.
I say yes just because I want it.
We're all prisoners of the moment.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah.
Look. I
Hype
told
responsibly though.
I told Andre that my opinion would probably change from his podcast to mine because on his podcast I went all in and started getting it with the Zelda. Now that there's too much hype. I have to play devil's advocate. We're not getting it. It's not happening.
So you're saying
2024 at the earliest.
So you're saying the Linneman story kind of got you rethinking things?
No, the Linneman story don't matter. The Linneman's irrelevant.
Wow, Nate.
I did not think
what else happened between Andre's podcast and now? It's got to be.
You know what's weird too about that Linneman story? I reached out to him just for clarification. I wanted to just clarify what he said, and he didn't respond. And it's fine. I'm not saying I'm a big enough deal that someone from Digital Foundry and Eurogamer should respond to me, but he's responded to me in the past for less, so it's weird.
Maybe he doesn't have time.
Yeah,
maybe he'll
I don't know. I thought it was a little weird. He's responded to me about other things in the past that weren't as big of a deal. So
sometimes people message me. I don't get back to him until a week later, so I wouldn't take it personally.
No, I'm not taking it personally. It's not like he follows me. He probably doesn't even check his DMs anymore.
Well, he's in a wave of media coverage right now. God knows what his mentions and ads look like. You know,
right.
Everybody.
You don't want to see what my Discord looks like. There's a reason it says I'm always busy.
Man, I'm offended because I actually text Miyamoto. He has not gotten back to me a couple hours now, and I'm just
unacceptable.
You know, that's it. Miyamoto,
what an a-hole.
It's time for you to retire, Miyamoto. You need to go
it's not
join
like he's
Sakurai,
sleeping in Japan right now or anything.
Whatever, man. Whatever. You're sitting in your cubicle.
But no, look, I'm just gonna play the devil's advocate because somebody has to do it. And
Sure.
I don't want this podcast. to
But
just
you don't
be a
believe it
straight-
though. You don't
it's
believe
all
it.
happening.
You can
But
say it, but
here's
you don't
the-
believe it.
no. Mike, but here's the thing. I don't know if we're getting new hardware next year, and frankly, I don't need new hardware. I'm good.
Nate,
I
Nate,
want
let
it.
your
It's
heart
a want,
decide,
not
Nate.
a need.
Nate,
I've
it's a
learned
whole
in
new
my
world,
life
Nate.
To be happy with
Let
what you
your heart
have.
decide.
No, Mike.
Let it
you're the one-
decide, Nate.
Mike. Every
Nate,
time you
open up.
talk,
Nate, you can do it. Come on, you can do it.
every time you talk,
This is
you're
turning
the
into an
person-
intervention now. Now, this is an intervention now. Nate, we have to talk, Nate.
Just tell us what you actually believe. What's in your heart?
Open up, man.
It's
Open
not
up.
about heart, my head. It's about head.
But what if your head is wrong?
Open
That's
up,
okay.
man. Open
How
up.
many times has my heart been wrong? I thought we were
I
getting this thing back in
know it's cold
2019. So I
outside.
don't
I
know.
know it's jittery outside. It's cold outside. I think you know something. The oxygen. It's not.
It's actually quite toasty in here right now.
And actually, it's not that cold outside. For
Not
here.
today.
Today was
We've
nice.
been in negative for like 2 weeks, and now we're finally out of it. So,
But what is not cold for you guys?
Oh, I think we hit
like
40.
anything in above 30 degrees is I can
No.
wear shorts. I'm wearing
Yeah.
shorts right now. You guys can't see it on camera. I'm wearing shorts right now.
No,
Shorts weather right now.
right now it's 53 and I'm freezing.
Oh, dude, I'd be jumping in the ocean and
Yeah.
swimming.
Right?
Yeah, but let's keep in mind though that when you live in warmer climates, your blood thins, so
Yes.
it impacts you more easily.
Yes.
Yes. So if you're freezing, Mike, they do have a solution for this. I'm not saying you have to partake,
Yeah.
but it at least makes you feel warmer. See, I feel like this energy that HMK was drinking earlier looked like a giant beer.
Oh yeah. It is.
Oh yeah.
I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
Well, he was putting some kind of
alcohol
powder in it too.
provides warming properties. There's a reason that we drink a lot in Wisconsin. We're trying to stay warm.
Stay warm.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's all a mental game.
Well,
It
it
actually does.
but
It
your
actually does
body's
the
still
complete
cold, but
opposite.
but here's the thing. But it does the opposite. It actually makes you colder, but you feel warmer, which
Yeah.
can be dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
The difference is our bodies can actually handle pretty cold weather to a
Mhm.
point. So it ends up not really mattering that much unless it's a dangerous level of cold outside.
But listen. Don't get me wrong. I used to live in upstate New York. I lived there for like 6-7 years, and I fell into a pool of ice. Okay, it broke the ice, and then like
Jeez.
halfway.
We do that on purpose.
And minus the group, it was minus 15, right? When I
Oh,
fell
no.
into the ice thing, right? The water. And then the next day I was in Florida. Very next day.
No, let me
The
tell
next
you-
day I'm in
let
Florida.
me tell you
Yeah,
like,
gotta
it's
go
like a
back, yeah.
challenge bet that we have.
Oh,
Dude,
sh-
like
we do
there's
the polar
there's-
plunge, man.
Dude, we do the polar plunge.
We cut
okay?
holes in ice.
We
to
cut
purposely
holes. We
jump in.
literally cut holes in the ice to run and dive into the lakes and run back out as just like for fun.
Yeah.
Welcome to Wisconsin.
Yes,
Well,
I'm-
no, not for fun.
But
I mean, it's for charity.
It's for charity. But let's just be honest. The
Yeah,
same
oh,
people do it every year.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
for fun at this point.
I really
mean,
hope I really
To
hope
prove how much of a man you are.
I really hope the Switch 2 comes out everywhere except for Wisconsin.
I'm gonna throw out
You know,
just
we have this
another
thing called the
idea.
internet. I can
It's
just
banned.
import from any other state. We're good.
I'm gonna throw out another idea for you, and maybe this is why Pikmin 4 gets delayed. But Pikmin 4 is slated for 2023. How weird would it be for Nintendo to skip Zelda, skip a potential Mario release this holiday for new hardware, and then skip Pikmin 4,
Mhm.
which obviously would make sense to be in 4K, and then come out with a new hardware next year? Like,
So-
yes, they can update all those, but those are just all opportunities to push hardware. And also,
I-
one more thing I want to mention before I F-Zero is heavily rumored, which is also going to look really good at high resolutions.
It'll
So
look really good at
it's just-
1080p.
It's going to look really good in 480p because it already does on the GameCube. But you know, I'm just saying, specifically with Pikmin 4, that game looks so amazing. It would just be a little odd to me if Nintendo skipped Zelda and Pikmin and Mario and then came out with more powerful hardware next year. That's all. I'm
And
saying.
to back up the next year thing, there's a really old.
But by next year, I
quote-
mean 2024, because
there's a
technically
really
it's still
old
2022.
quote
but-
from Miyamoto about 6 years ago, where he said he didn't think 4K would make that big of a difference for Zelda, but it would be huge for Pikmin.
Yeah.
Now this predated Switch, so this is a while ago. That's where this really holds up
Back
today.
with Pikmin 3 on Wii U, he talked about how the HD resolution really benefited the game because of all the small details.
And he thought 4K would be a huge benefit to Pikmin. And here we are getting Pikmin 4 next year, and it's conveniently taken since then to now. maybe in time for hardware.
And-
But again, devil's advocate, there's no
Hold on,
hardware
hold on.
next year.
Switch
Hold on.
sides.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
no hardware
Wait,
next year.
no, that's when we truly find out it's actually Pikmin 4K.
Oh, here we go.
Oh,
That-
boy.
that's
There
probably
we
what
go.
it is.
That
That
is
is probably
hilarious.
what it is. But that's why it'll be delayed to 2024 when the
With their-
system comes out.
Yeah.
With their naming on the OLED model, would they not just do Switch 4K and then they do Pikmin 4K like back to the N64 days, or they're just naming it
Yeah.
after the power of the console?
Cheers to the
That would
kingdom.
be epic.
4K.
Or they'll just go ahead and deluxe everything for Pikmin Deluxe.
Yeah, Deluxe is another one.
Yep.
Pikmin 4K Deluxe,
Deluxe.
new edition.
Or do they try to launch everything that they have in 2023 and then sell us Deluxe 4K versions on the new hardware in 2024?
That is
Here's another one. Metroid Prime 4K.
Well, that works
Yeah,
perfect.
there we go.
And
It's
I
on
do,
the-
I do
that's
think
fine.
that game
That
does
game's
need to
like
come
on
out on
next
new it should come out on new hardware whenever it launches. We haven't seen anything about it. We don't know when,
Yeah.
but still, it should come out on new hardware because with the kind of technical, like how far ahead of that game was when just Metroid Prime 1 through 3. I mean, but really Metroid Prime 1 when it came out on the GameCube. The fact that you can still up-res that to this day and it looks beautiful. I mean, it honestly looks on par with what we still have on the Switch in a lot of aspects. Prime 4 should do something technically impressive, I think.
Yeah.
Let me ask you guys something, because Nate and I had an argument about this on Monday.
We were
Okay.
about to get to this in the
Oh, boy.
next topic too. I swear.
Well, are we transitioning?
Yeah,
Oh.
we're
I
transitioning.
felt
hold
like
on.
this became
Wait,
both
Eric
topics.
has
Yeah.
something to say. Everyone,
Hold
shut
on,
up.
Hold on.
Okay.
Shut up.
Hold
Eric
on.
wants to talk.
I
Everyone
may
be
have
quiet.
something that would give credence to Nate. It's gonna be 2024K. Damn it!
Oh no, you're right. There we go.
It's just
Oh,
going up
boy.
to 4K stuff, you know.
Mm.
Well, Prime 4 is definitely
Damn
not
it.
coming out 2023, so I mean that makes sense.
There we go.
Yeah.
And people think Pikmin 4 is gonna get delayed, so you know.
So to round out this topic, let's just see what the public thought. So we're ending that poll there. We had about 99 votes in that thing, and I'm waiting for it to pop up to tell me what the final percentage was. Because of course I
100
didn't.
votes.
I didn't look at the final
50
percentage, so
58%
now I have to
yes.
wait for it to actually. Did it pop up for you
Yes,
finally?
58%
There
yes,
it is,
40% no.
So we got 58% yes and 40% no. So the majority is on the side of the majority of the
Wait.
panel,
Wait,
and now it's 100
Wait,
votes. When it was
pretty split,
99 when
though.
it ended.
wait.
What?
How does that work?
That means there's 2% undecided. They just that wasn't an option.
How does that
Yeah,
work?
that's true.
Oh, that is
The
strange.
funny thing is, it would have been if it would have stopped at 99, I would have understood it because
Yeah,
the
yeah,
rounding
yeah,
wouldn't be perfect.
Right. But,
But
it's
it went to
100
a
votes.
perfect 100, so it makes no sense. It should be 60-40, but for some reason, YouTube, your system's broke. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
Our next topic, we are going to round out. We're going to round out this podcast by talking about the lineup for Nintendo Switch or X System. I don't know. In 2023, and giving some predictions and thoughts and why we think the way that we do. First up, obviously, just recapping briefly what we know was announced for next year, anyways. We also have the Kirby game. We got Fire Emblem Engage kicking off the year. We got Bayonetta Origins. Pikmin 4 probably coming a bit later in the year because it has no release date yet, just the year. And obviously, we have Tears of the Kingdom on May 12th. And we talk about other third-party game stuff you guys want. We can go over all of that. Like, there's a bunch of them actually coming. Golem's supposed to be coming out next year on Switch. We're supposed to be getting Hogwarts Legacy July 25th. We got Octopath Traveler 2 and a whole bunch of other games coming. So it's actually a pretty packed slate so far in the first 6 to 7 months of the system. But that's the first 6 to 7 months. There's clearly going to be more. So let's get to some predictions. Who wants to go first?
I got my list in front of me, so
Okay, all right. Let's drag Mike into here.
I got my list. I got my
All right,
list.
Mike.
here. Of course, anything from January through April. Well, minus April.
Mike's gonna
May.
name every game that exists in the history of gaming.
Yeah, every
Okay.
single game that exists in the history of gaming. We started the month. in
Nintendo's buying
January.
Halo.
We started the month with Fire Emblem Engage. Somebody's gonna get married, right?
And we know this one. Okay, this is a
Somebody's
known.
getting married in the game. We know that. Kirby Forgotten Land. Kirby February. Bayonetta. Okay, April. Super Mario movie. Will they release a game alongside Super Mario movie? We don't know. Maybe. Yeah. Zelda, of course. So let's start off from June and up. June. Pikmin 4. That's my prediction.
Okay.
July. June. Well, we're gonna get there's E3, right? E3 is also in June.
In June, yeah.
Yeah. So Pikmin 4, either Pikmin 4 is there. I think it's gonna come out in June. I'll put
Okay.
July for a new Super Mario game. August, 1+2 reboot camp. Finally, September, new Donkey Kong game. October, just to put I think that's a good for Metro Prime 4, but I put Metro Prime 4 in November because I put Mario Kart 9 in October.
Oh, there's
Wow.
Yeah,
yeah.
And-
Mike
and-
always brings the big guns out. He's a dreamer.
Yeah. I mean, we're getting the last DLC in December for that one, so I'm guessing they would have to introduce the other one, right? Or give us a hint that something's coming out, or just show the wheels in 4K.
All right, here we go.
November, Metroid Prime 4, and December, no games, holiday break,
What? No games in December.
no games in December. There was no games in December this year.
Sports Story
First party games.
exclusive.
It's not. No, our first party games. I don't count exclusives.
You what?
First party games. Bayonetta's technically is not a first party game, but still. I put that.
I mean, some of the games you listed may not be first party. Who knows?
That's a gray line territory because
Well, I mean, it's whatever.
publishes it. So
I mean,
you
there's
know.
also that rumored sequel to 1-2 Switch.
I think that was Switch Sports.
That's so
so-
stupid. 3,
I
4,
don't think that was Switch Sports at all. I think Switch Sports. There's no way it was Switch
3,
Sports.
4.
Doesn't make
Well,
any
the
sense.
rumor happened right before Switch Sports was announced, so you know.
Yeah, but Switch Sports it was following up a very popular series from Wii. It was
Yeah.
not a sequel to 1-2 Switch.
Or
1-2
this
Switch
was
was
another-
about the
1-2 Switch
controllers.
was another internal cancellation.
Right.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
God, wasn't there a name for it too? I remember Nathan Hay gave us a
E-
name for what that
Every
game was.
Switch Sports
everybody's
is selling
1-2
well,
Switch.
by
Yeah,
the way.
everybody's 1-2 Switch. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna make a video tomorrow. Cancel game. Cancel.
Cancel.
So the reason why I think Switch Sports is kind of, I mean, and you could be right. There's another 1-2 Switch something coming, but first
It's
off,
canon.
with
Canon.
rumors, there's always like interpretation and conflation. So you know, I always take that into consideration when I hear about rumors, even from the credible sources, right? And Switch Sports is a casual centric game. It's a successor to Wii Sports, as you said, but it is at the end of the day what a mini game compilation, right? What is 1-2 Switch? A mini game compilation that takes advantage of the unique abilities
Well-
of the Joy Cons.
1-2 Switch is a party game, though. I would not call Switch Sports a party game.
Well, I mean, can you play with 4 people? Yes, therefore party game.
You could play with 20 people in 1-2 Switch.
You can say Tears of the Kingdom will be a party game.
I'm not sure you knew that. I know because I used to do it when I was an after school teacher. We get all the
That's
kids.
great.
together
I
and we
didn't
do
know
1-2
that.
I didn't know
it was
there
20.
any game that had
Yeah.
20.
Switch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot.
sure.
Anyway, all I'm saying, I mean, if first off, they're going to continue to make like casual mini game compilations. Like, I mean, it's already been a while since Switch Sports. They're working on another one. They've had something
Switch Sports,
relatively major that appeals to the casual market almost every year. There's going to be something else. Like, I don't doubt that, but you know, Switch
So
Sports.
I'll give you some credit.
Rumor.
The producer, one of the producer of 1-2 Switch, Kuchi Kawamoto, is a co-producer of Nintendo Switch Sports. But
Nice.
obviously, the directors have more say, and we don't know who the director of 1-2 Switch was. So it's
I
not
think
us.
I think what's gonna happen with Switch Sports is that they're gonna continue adding more sports to it. They're gonna
It's
They're
selling
gonna-
well. They could add paid DLC.
yeah, and add more sports to it. Like
Well, they just added golf.
yeah,
It just came out.
exactly. So that proves that you can actually with Switch Sports, with Wii Sports, they didn't have the ability just to add more games to it. You know, it's just a CD. But now because it's all digital, they could just continue to add
Yeah.
on top of that. So
They'll probably do so many that are free, but then just start doing paid DLC and then
Yeah.
throw it into the expansion
Yeah.
pack or something like that.
I
Mhm.
bet we've already gone the free stuff. And I think they're going to announce paid. That's a prediction. I think they'll announce paid DLC for Switch Sports maybe this February.
we need
Yeah.
basketball. We need basketball.
Interesting.
I didn't keep
Ooh,
up with the
basketball, you said.
sales on that game, but I don't think it necessarily did like crazy numbers, right? Switch Sports.
I have to double check, but I think it sold like 4 or 5 million.
I mean, that's solid for sure. I just,
I
but
got
you know,
double check
4.8.
though.
Yeah,
4.8,
so 4.8 as of June 30th, so it's probably at 5.
4.8 million. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, around a handful.
I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
that was as
that's
of
not
June
nothing.
30th.
That's a
no,
handful.
it's not.
nothing.
No, that's enough to do extra content for and give it another push
Oh,
too
for sure.
as well. But you
And
know
when
how
you-
like Wii Sports was like that because it was bundled with the console, but then even Wii Sports was like it
Yeah.
seemed like a main event for
Yeah.
the console. Switch Sports hasn't felt like that for the Switch
And I know
era
as
gaming.
of 2 weeks ago, when me and my kids were playing, we did some online stuff, and it was just like that. Finding
Nice.
matches was no problem. Like,
So
it, like
something
it
I want to
seems like an active community.
something I want to point out. If we go back to Ring Fit Adventure, it's sold a lot over the last few years
Yeah.
because it's actually maintained that evergreen status where it continues to sell.
It's a
And
workout
that
game.
first year, I think it only sold okay. Like it sold a few million, but it wasn't like gonna look
an
like it was gonna be
evergreen.
one of the,
It's evergreen.
But at first, it didn't look like it was gonna be one of the best-selling Switch titles, but now it is because
Yeah.
it continued to sell and never lost momentum. Really,
I have
Switch
mine still in
Sports
the
might
box.
be the
Never
same.
opened it, so I bought it because I was gonna work out, but then I still haven't opened it. It's still in the box.
I thought it was cool, but I gave up
I
on
don't
it.
know if that's something we want to admit.
Yeah, I admit it. It's still in the box, just like
We'll
the
keep it in the
treadmill.
box.
All
It might
right,
be
let me go
worth
grab
like
my ring quick. I'll
$300
start my
in
workout
4
on
years.
stream.
Yeah, right.
It's just right over there. It's hanging on my old wall-mounted Switch thing. I put it over there, so I never lose.
Every
it.
year I renew the same thing. Oh, I'm gonna work out this year like crazy. Like I'm a black belt Taekwondo, so I'm like I'm gonna get back into black belt form and everything. And I'm like, and I just renew it every year, so it's like a subscription.
And then you just become like it. Then you realize I'm an adult, and that just sounds tiring. Let's do something fun instead.
yeah,
It now
Oh,
hurts.
I
to
need to
move.
ask Mike
It hurts
something.
to remove now. I do a little spin kick, and now my
I
knees.
mean,
are
I
sore.
was instructing in my 30s, so in my 30s, I'm not in my 30s anymore.
I know.
I was
See,
instructing.
Mike's older than me, but he looks like he's my child.
I'm
That's
older
just-
than
that's just
anybody
how
in
it
this
goes.
house. In this the
You
group
got a
in this
baby
house,
face, man.
in this house. I didn't know we were in a house.
Yeah.
Is it made of cards? Is it about to
house in the
topple?
house.
This virtual house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I
Okay,
feel like I'm
so
working
Mike,
out.
in your
So-
infinite wisdom, I need to ask you though, because I noticed you predicted Metroid Prime 4. So does that mean you don't think Metroid Prime Remaster is coming?
No.
Hmm.
I don't think any remasters are coming.
Bam!
I think that Metroid will eventually be added to Nintendo Online, but I don't think they're gonna come. They're gonna make it at all. It's all
Okay.
speculation and all mumble
Hey,
jumble.
to Jeff Grubb's credit, he did cut his hair.
The
Yeah.
man of his word.
He's a
Props.
man of his
Yeah,
word. He
he
said it is
did.
coming out, and I put my hair on it.
I saw that the thumbnail. Oh no, he's still hot.
Dude, they went over the
Yeah.
story of it in his stream earlier today, and like literally they were with like a pair of scissors just butchering the hell out of it in the
Ugh.
garage
Yeah.
randomly while people were token up and getting baked. It was it was welcome to California, everyone. And and then finally a real barber came in to try to make it look maybe not as crappy for his wife, but it still doesn't look very good. He's just I'm gonna be wearing a lot of hats for a while. I'm like, yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
But anyways, Andrew, have you given us like a prediction for next year yet? I mean, Mike just gave us a whole year's worth of predictions, which is
Sure.
that's cool. That's cool. But
This
we'll-
is a
we'll-
month that
we'll
I
get-
still can't decide on. I think yeah, I'm ready for Nintendo to come up with a new IP. A brand
So,
new IP.
On that, this is something I haven't really talked about, but I probably should. So we still haven't gotten information on what the next project is for the EPG group that made both Mario Kart 8 and ARMS. And ARMS came out in 2017. Like that's a big studio from Nintendo, and it's been over half a decade. Like they could have just made Mario Kart. Like they could have made the next Mario Kart, and they could be sitting on that and working on another game right now, or vice versa. So that's just like a crazy thing that Nintendo could just be kind of saving at any point. We have no idea when they'll drop that. I'm not predicting that for next year, by the way. But it's just
so he's
kinda
just bringing up
something-
something irrelevant for 2023. All right.
I mean, it could be relevant. I don't know. But it's just it's a possibility, but it's not my personal prediction.
I asked
And
for
by
a
the way, I
prediction,
gave you
and
a
I get it.
prediction I hadn't predicted before. I told you Switch Sports DLC February Direct. I had not mentioned that before. That's
Okay.
a
All
half
huge-
of the-
fine. You want to say that's okay? Hey, that you want to go with a safe
You know,
prediction?
to come
No,
to
I'm gonna give you an
Listen.
unsafe prediction. Apparently,
listen, I'm gonna
I'm
come to
predicting-
Yeah,
Andres,
apparently.
I'm gonna come to Andres' defense. Okay, Andres' defense here. Half of the stuff I say is irrelevant. So
newsflash: everyone, half of what we all say is irrelevant. That's just a fact, right?
We're
Like,
talking about
uh,
Nintendo here, guys.
100% of what I say is
Trying to
irrelevant.
figure out what they do.
It's 2022 and I'm in my mid 30s and I'm wondering why anybody watches. It's just
Mhm.
it's life.
yeah.
So here's a prediction. I do think Metroid Prime Remake is real. I do believe in the grub. I think it's coming. I just think the reason it didn't come then is because usually with rumors, we always get the timing wrong. It's going to come a little bit later. So I think probably Prime 4 just wasn't ready, and they do have a plan to hype up Metroid, and Prime Remake comes first and then Prime 4. So my prediction is, and I know it's kind of one of those things, like every year we kind of predict something Metroid and then we don't get it, but we did get Metroid Dread in 2021. So
you want to bet your hair? You want to bet your hair on it?
No. No. Okay, first off, I don't have any inside sources on this, right? I'm just believing the other people
are you
with
sure?
inside sources.
Are you sure you don't have inside sources?
There is only one thing that I have inside sources on that I've talked about. Everything else is just public information.
I heard Miyamoto versus Miami a lot. So.
Well, for the crowd who doesn't know, clarify what that thing is that you talked about.
So, all right. First, let me just clarify. So, I am predicting Prime Remaster this year, and I think they'll
next
choose Prime
year.
4.
I mean,
2023. And
yeah, so
Prime
you're going with
Remaster.
Jeffrey Grubb prediction. It's coming out in the next 3 days.
No.
What?
None of that.
New
Nah,
Year's
20
Eve.
Hey, you got your
imagine-
shave in your head
Shadow
too?
drop.
Can you imagine if his shadow drops like the day before?
Watch it does. Dude,
Yeah.
I would feel so bad for Grubb if they just drop it this Friday. I'd be like,
Uh,
Nintendo,
I think
Nintendo's
we'd all
still
just
playing
already
all
go.
along. Nintendo's still
hilarious.
playing all along.
Nintendo just wanted to see him
It's like-
shave his head.
It's like, you want to leak this? Oh,
Shave your
hell
head.
no.
Shave your head and then I'll drop it.
Now I'll drop it.
Okay. So I'll tell you. I mean, I've talked about this before. I made a video way back when I've alluded
You
to it.
did. I know what you're going to say,
Yeah.
but just to clarify for the crowd.
So the thing is, it's one of those things because it's like an inside thing. I don't want to say too much, but basically, I know or knew someone that worked at Nintendo
They died.
that would be privy.
I mean, that
to
died. That's why you don't
marketing-
know him anymore.
They would be privy to some level of marketing information, and there were things they told me that all came true. There were the things that other people were saying already, right? So it wasn't like anything crazy, but one of those things is that Donkey Kong, that they saw stuff for Donkey Kong, but it hasn't come out yet. But that doesn't mean it won't happen because I've talked about it before. There are things we hear about years in advance for whatever reason.
Or whatever was leftover stuff from last time. If there was leftover flyers that they had, like just sitting on a table from
It's possible.
Hopefully they would know if it
Yeah,
was
it was-
tropical
it was
freeze
tropical
marketing.
freeze.
Yeah.
He looked at the pamphlet and didn't realize that it said tropical freeze right on it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a fly right there.
Well, I mean, this person I was talking to is not an idiot, so I hope not. But I mean, but the thing is, that aside, there are other elements, right? Like Nintendo has you look at the Mario movie, they're putting a pretty big focus on the Kongs that they did not have to do. Like most depictions of Mario don't necessarily have the Kong family in it, not to that extent, but they're doing it. They hired Seth Rogen for Donkey Kong. That's a pretty expensive hire.
Mhm.
And then they're also expanding the Universal Park with Donkey Kong. Not Zelda, not Animal Crossing, not Pokemon, other far bigger franchises that would seemingly bring in more people. They're doing Donkey Kong.
The Pokemon.
So I do think these are signs that they have a marketing plan for Donkey Kong, which all of that just so happens to coincide with other people out there on the internet that are also saying they've heard things. So the reason I believe in Donkey Kong has nothing to do with any outside rumors, but those rumors line up with what I think. And
They
have heard.
solidify your stance.
Yeah. Now, with Donkey Kong, I could see it coming out 2024, not 2023. But for fun, I am also predicting that for next year because why not take advantage of the Mario movie popularity and also bring that out there?
Just to clarify, Pokemon is coming to Super Nintendo World.
Is it?
Yep.
They haven't announced like an
Is
expansion.
this like
yet,
breaking news?
No,
Or is this one of those Mike pipe dreams?
but I've already made a video about it. I have a friend who works at that. I can't, and I said that they spoke about Pokemon coming to Super Nintendo World, and they have other areas from Japan that only exist in Japan that are coming to Universal Studios.
Do you mean like a whole like side park? Or do you mean like maybe like for example they're gonna add like a
it's gonna be a region. It's
okay.
I-
Maybe like
yeah.
a third region after
Yeah,
Donkey Kong?
it's gonna be like a region. So it's like
So-
it's a park, but it's in the theme of a region.
So it's
Kanto.
probably after DK. Okay.
Yeah,
makes sense.
absolutely. Yeah, they're doing in stages.
It
Well,
would
yeah,
only
they
make
have
sense for them to eventually add Pokemon into Nintendo World.
Yeah,
At
yeah.
some point.
Yeah.
That's the
I just
world's
made a
biggest
Also,
Well,
Animal
franchise.
Crossing.
There's
Zelda.
there's and there's
As soon
gonna
as
be
they do Zelda, I'm there.
and there's
Yep.
also a Kirby Water Park.
Kirby Water Park.
Oh, that would be
Yep.
sick.
Kirby Water Park.
That'd be
What?
Hell yeah.
What is happening right now? I remember your Pokemon thing. Where did this Kirby stuff come from?
Hey, the man was texting Miyamoto 2 hours ago that
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
hasn't replied
Yeah.
yet. Okay, clearly.
Kirby Water Park. What?
Yeah, there's a Kirby Water Park.
I swear
There's
Mike's
Pokemon-
breaking news on this podcast every
Pokemon,
week. And
Pokemon Cafe is coming to Universal Studios.
okay, the cafe, sure. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
That's just a restaurant, though.
For those of you who love Sailor Moon is also coming to Universal Studios. And then Hello Kitty is coming to Universal Studios, like a Hello Kitty area, like a huge one that only exists in Japan. That it's coming to Universal Studios also.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And we're gonna see this in the next like 10 years.
Yeah,
Next Powerpuff Girls. Is that a
I
universal?
mean it's happening. It's happening. Here it's opening in 2025. It's opening in 2023 next in February. In
LA.
yeah, so 2025.
You know what you forgot, Mike?
what did I forget?
You forgot the new Chris Pratt park.
Yeah,
The
that's
real
happening.
expansion.
Dude, don't talk about Chris Pratt, man. I was this close to landing an interview with Chris Pratt, and I can talk about it now.
It's not
But-
but this isn't horseshoe or hand grenades. It didn't happen.
Yeah, and I was already in contact with their agents, and we were setting it up and everything. This is before the trailer. He hyped it up on his Twitter and everything. Everything was super happy until the backlash. That's when they decided to. If you notice, every single trailer, Mario's kind of like a background character. Every other character kind of speaks more, and they focus. And they haven't done since that. They've shifted their promotion. Jack Black is already out there doing interviews for the movie.
You know what I think is
Ah.
interesting about that? I know this is like a little bit of a sidebar topic.
Yeah,
It's if they see the backlash and it's as bad as apparently Nintendo or Universal thinks it is.
yeah,
I mean, I don't know that you couldn't just recast at this point.
yeah. And then I gotta recast.
I know they're not going to,
Yeah.
because I think in general Chris Pratt's still going to help move tickets.
He could redub. You know,
Yeah,
do-
like it kind of feels weird. You're the main character in the whole movie, but we're just kind of backgrounding you because nobody likes you.
yeah. I think that he kind of fell back too much on the fact that Emmett was so beloved, and the voice kind of fit the character so much that I guess he thought he could get away with doing something similar to that. Although we haven't heard a full dialect of him talking on a
Yeah,
regular
I
basis.
don't think,
Who?
I don't
Who?
think we know
Who
enough
haven't
yet.
we?
Yeah, we
Oh,
haven't
yeah,
heard
Chris
on
Pratt, Chris
Mario.
Oh,
we
I got
haven't
her
heard
prediction.
an action scene or anything.
exactly.
I got
So,
a prediction.
I
People are
got.
gonna be okay with the Mario movie overall.
Yeah, he would.
including-
Yeah,
including
yeah,
his voice.
Mario-
I agree.
I think my movies will be fine.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. But
So-
when it comes to marketing, they are being very careful with where he go with him specifically, where he goes. Before it was like I was on the list on the list for the interview for the media tour, and then they said, okay, we because of certain situations, we've had to limit the amount of media that because he requested it. He requested that it'll be so much smaller now. So
Well,
basically-
he also has Guardians of the Galaxy coming out too, so like he's kind of double dipping this year. Upcoming year.
yeah.
So he's got a lot of stuff on his plate. What I also find I want to bring this up because just around the topic of the Mario movie for a moment, because I know there's a lot of people out there that believe that Charles Martinet should have been the voice and been the voice the whole time, and they have a hard time like understanding what that voice would sound like with full spoken sentences back to back to back.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
There is that we already know what it sounds like, guys. There is, and I did a short on this. You can look it up on YouTube. There is a clip of when Mario used to pre-order Mario Galaxy back in the day. He would call you the day before it came out to let you know your game's gonna be ready to pick up. And Charles Martinet goes on talking as Mario for like paragraphs. And let me tell you, after about 12 seconds, you're ready to turn the video off.
yeah.
Mario, his voice of Mario is amazing in short
Mhm.
bursts. It does not work. Like I've been saying it and I knew it, and I don't think people realize that we already know what it's like, and it's just not good. This is not discrediting Charles Martinet. excellent voice actor. I love what he does. It's just not the right voice for full spoken paragraph sentences. It's just
He would have to
not.
change his Mario.
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and then it would be weird.
and then people wouldn't be happy with it. You know.
Yeah.
So
That's not Mario.
exactly.
What do you mean
So
it's not Mario.
Yeah.
If you're gonna change it, then you might as well just try to sell tickets with a big name.
well, the thing is that Charles Martinet will always be the voice of Mario when it comes to video games. So there's nothing changing there. And if you notice that all he does is reactions. There's no, it's all
Look,
reaction.
you want to be happy? Go watch the French version with subtitles. All right, guys. Everyone seems to like the French Mario voice, so
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. I think people are just afraid of change.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. I'm happy with it.
They're definitely
because you know why?
there's
Because
a lot of that.
I've already seen throughout my lifetime. I've seen different voices of Mario, so I'm happy with it. So
5. I think we've had 5 total voices for Mario over the
yeah,
years.
I'm gonna steal that short.
All right, Eric, give me a prediction for next year. Let me bring you in the full screen focus here.
Yeah.
What we got going on?
No, I mean, does Nintendo put out like it just have 5?
Wait, does Nintendo put out?
Ah.
Whoa, wait a second.
Hey-o.
Hold up.
Hey,
Hold up. We gotta
Yeah.
turn on the age gate to
Yeah,
this
right,
podcast.
right.
Here. Hold on.
yeah. Yeah, right. Does, no, does Nintendo put out a 5-minute video of Charles Martinet just talking as Mario? 5 minutes straight, just him talking as Mario, and be like, okay, here is your dose of Mario. Have fun and see how many dislikes it gets after. It's
Well, here's the problem. People would clip it, then they grab
yeah.
like all the clips
Yeah.
of Chris Pratt and go, "This is better." And it's
Yeah.
like just let.
no, I know.
No,
But it's-
it'd be fun. Okay,
Yeah.
give me an actual prediction now.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, I know Mike said something about, and obviously, so did Andre, about the Mario movie. It'd be interesting to see them post credits drop a trailer for a new Mario game.
Theaters.
That'd be a weird way.
theaters.
That'd be a weird way to announce it, but not impossible.
A post credits Mario game.
Or maybe
Trailer.
maybe the same day too. Same day as movie release, just to drop it.
Continue
Oh,
the story
yeah.
in the new Mario game.
I mean,
Drop.
that'd be.
I'll
that'd be
say
insane.
that.
Oh.
I'll say that there's a decent chance that they could announce the Mario game in the February Direct, so they could potentially cross promote both the game and the movie simultaneously.
Uh-huh.
I'm skeptical they would have put
Sure.
it actually in the movie
Yeah.
as an end credit scene, but I could see some cross promotion.
What if the game is mobile?
So maybe I will throw my phone out the window.
So your prediction is Mario movie reveal at the end of the movie, or just a
It'd be-
trailer?
It'd be interesting. No, it'd actually be kind of cool as Mario sits down to play a Mario game, and it ends up being
Ooh,
a
Charles
new
Martinet.
Mario
a
game.
subtle, a subtle tease that
Yeah.
people debate is a game or not. That I could see.
Yeah.
That I think is more believable than a trailer.
Yeah,
But what if it's Charles Martinet? Like at the end of the movie, Mario sits down. And they made a game about me, and all of a sudden, Charles Martinet's voice.
Yeah,
It's
that's his multiple roles.
right.
All right.
No, man, and I know again, I hate to just keep jumping on what Andre said, but that we've heard so much things about a rumor of Donkey Kong game. I could see it coming. It's
I
one
don't
of those
hate
things.
you for jumping
Okay.
on. Come on, join this
Yeah.
bandwagon. Let's
Donkey
go.
Yeah.
Kong.
Do it.
D.
I mean,
Okay.
I love me some Donkey Kong.
Donkey
so,
Kong is
We're
here.
gonna sing. We're gonna sing the DK rap all the way downhill.
Heck yeah.
Let's go.
Heck yeah.
Oh,
No,
boy.
so I could see that coming too. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else really could there be. I mean, I don't
Oh,
know.
just wait till you get to me.
oh yeah.
I've
No, I know you.
I've got
I know
some
you've probably got
bangers.
mile long.
I've got some
list of,
bangers. Not
stuff,
not
but-
miles long, but I
Yeah.
got some bangers. I got one particular banger people are going to get really hyped about. But before we get to that, Sumbro, give me some predictions for next year.
Okay, well, a lot of them are going to be the leak rumor mill talk that
Here we
I
go.
saw. I
Hitting
mean,
that rumor mill.
because
Just
I
hold on, rumor mill. Ooh, let's go. Let's go.
All right,
is
now
gonna
that you're ready. No, I do think so. And a lot of it will be what Andre said too, because I do think that Metroid Prime, they're gonna have to rebrand and relaunch this game before Prime 4 comes out in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. Whether it's Prime Trilogy HD and give it another separate shot to sell, this game came out 20 years ago now, the original Metroid Prime. There are so many gamers that are just brand new and they don't even know what the Metroid franchise entails unless they picked up Dread, but then maybe the 2D aspect, turned them off from it. They don't know what a 3D Metroid plays, looks, or feels like. And I do think that Nintendo putting all the money into Prime 4 and restarting it, they're taking it seriously. They could have scrapped the project altogether when they thought it wasn't going in a good direction, but they gave it to Retro, who did the Prime 3 games originally. They're taking that franchise seriously. I think they want Metroid to be elevated up there with the Mario, Zeldas, Animal Crossings of the world. So I think Prime Remake makes a lot of sense to launch in 2023. Unfortunately, Grubb had to lose his hair, but between Grubb and Nate the Hate, both really going out of their way to say, like, yeah, we know, even Emily Rogers, just, and Retro being based here in the US, like the likelihood of having a contact at that studio that would let you know something about that if you were legitimate friends with them, I think is high. That one I would put in my more safe bucket of, I think we get it in 2023. The ones we know about, Pikmin 4, I honestly could see that being a coin toss to be in 2023 or not. Like, that might be like an end of the year. Maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. I don't think we get Metroid Prime 4 in 2023. I think that is actually further out, and we're talking about next gen hardware or whatever's next before we see that game launch. And
Sad.
Then I agreed, but I mean,
announced in 2017, just sad.
Yeah, exactly. But it is one of those things that because they're taking it seriously, we haven't seen anything in the game yet, and they may want to give fans an opportunity to play through fully the old Prime games first, that we might see that kind of drip fed.
I
to
also
us for
worry
a while.
about dropping a game like that at the end of a generation instead of the beginning of a new
Correct. That one belongs at almost the launch lineup of new hardware would be the perfect spot for that game to drop. If new hardware isn't
At least
alongside
first
of
year.
Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
First year of the new hardware, yeah.
So Donkey Kong's a coin flip on whether or not it's 2023, but it is time because Tropical Freeze is still a 2014 game, even though it came out again in 2018 on the Switch. It's just the DK franchise has just been forgotten about for too long now. So that's a strong likelihood for 2023 or 2024. I think it's one of the two. Mario something, but I'm not as sold on the fact that it's 3D Mario. I actually think that we could get another 2D Mario game, and that's kind of the casual mainstream thing that they try to market alongside of the Mario movie. Although I think it would be better to do a 3D Mario game full on, like Odyssey 2 or just whatever Bowser's Fury was, but expand upon that. I think that makes a lot more sense to do. And I hope it is that, but I also could see Nintendo just throwing, here's 2D Mario for now, and we're saving the next big Mario adventure in 3D for whatever's next. Outside of that, I think that we're gonna see some other ports. Hopefully, F-Zero needs to come back at some point in time. They need to at least give it a shot to sell on a console this successful. So just a GameCube port of GX remastered, whatever you want to call it, that makes all the sense in the world. I think you at least test the market to see if you can get another game that's a racing game that's not Mario Kart to perform very well. I don't think we get anything Mario Kart at all. I think that's definitely the DLC is what they have planned for that franchise until next gen console, and then we get a big Mario Kart. Maybe they call it 9, or maybe they consider Tour 9, and this is Mario Kart X, or just 10, or just whatever the big thing is, like, or just some brand new name. But I think that's further off. And then, outside of that, the one, I guess, out there on a limb prediction that isn't really necessarily tied to a leak or rumor, but rather just like some job postings and also what's going on with like secondary Zelda games, because we always got, something in the way of like a 2D new experience on Zelda on handheld. I would love to see just like a wish list. I don't necessarily think it's going to happen in the same year as Tears of the Kingdom, but not necessarily a remake or a port of the, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and all the ones we want to see come over, or even just Oracle remakes or something. Like, I actually would love to see them kind of do a Link Between Worlds style game, but made for the Switch. And it's a new iteration in 2D Zelda, continuing that alongside of 3D Zelda. And I think that's about all I got. And when all that stuff falls, and if it falls at all, it's just, we're talking about Nintendo again. But I do think that 2023 still has plenty of room for announcements, even though it's already looking somewhat stacked. I think there's a lot of room between the February Direct, E3 hopefully coming back in full force, and the closeout with September Direct. Oh, and by the way, final prediction, the September Direct, I feel fairly certain we will get the Game Boy family of systems revealed at that September Direct. Advance, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Original all at once. I think that's
Every
the
2
big
years they add something
every,
major.
every 2 years.
Nice.
That's my 2023.
I'll
Your
go on
predictions
record,
and mine are
I'll
like
go on
exactly
record
the same.
here just for a minute, just to go ahead and then steal one of his some bros predictions. I'll take that 2D Zelda and add it over to the month of December there. The 2D Zelda.
Be far enough away
I'm
from your
going
kingdom.
beyond it anyways.
Mario.
I want to see a link to the past the way they did Link's Awakening.
Okay. All right.
That would be
Well,
beautiful.
those are pretty solid predictions. So I don't really disagree with a lot of it. It's pretty solid. A lot of it's based on rumors,
Except
and
for
I mean,
Metroid.
I'd love top down. I'd love top down Zelda.
I have one more
See,
question.
the Metroid thing. You want to get into the Metroid? I'll go into Metroid right now.
Let's do it.
No, it's okay. We don't
Hold
have
on. I got
There's no Metroid
I had a
happening
question,
next
Nate.
year. It's
I
just,
had a
it's just
question,
not
Nate.
happening.
No, nothing.
You bet your hair.
Hold on.
You
We
bet your
have
hair.
a question from the Eric Meister.
Do you guys think that Advance Wars finally gets dropped next
Yep.
year?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
At some
hoping
point.
for an April release, but I could.
It might be
you know,
Shadow Drop, but
sometime.
it's gonna drop at some point.
February.
Yeah.
February. I say February.
I don't think they can the game. It's just getting kicked down the road.
Yeah.
Or they just throw it on NSL for free or something. I don't know.
They
Yeah.
won't. They won't even announce it. We'll just show up one day in the eShop.
I mean,
I mean,
the thing is, they have
yeah.
physical copies
Yeah.
that are like printed and ready to be sold. So
They'll give them out.
Okay. I mean, we can get to the whole Metroid thing because I don't think Metroid's happening. But first, let me get to my predictions, and that's not one of my predictions because I was predicting something not happening. I want to have fun and predict stuff that's going to happen. And I talked about it on Andrew's podcast on was it Monday or something about like, hey, 3D Mario. Okay, cool, whatever. But what I want to actually focus on are two things. Well, I'm going to throw a third in. You know what? I'm going to throw a fourth in. I want to give you a 4-pack.
Oh boy.
Okay, I don't know what months they're coming out. I'm not going to do that, but next year, all right, we are going to see a new game. Well, you know what? I have a month for this one actually. October. The October game is not a Link Between Worlds remake. No, sorry. The October game is going to be Luigi's Mansion 4.
Mm.
Oh,
All right.
He's
all
match
right.
before.
Okay.
launch it on Halloween
like it.
or right
I
before.
like it.
Yeah,
And
I
they
don't like
did it with
that.
Luigi's Mansion 3.
Mhm.
Next level games, I know did Mario Strikers, but I think they've actually grown and they've got multiple teams at this point working on games. So I think that they've had a team working on the next Luigi's Mansion since the last one. Now that Strikers is done, they maybe moved even more members over to try to finish the game off. And who knows? It might already be done for all I know. I have no idea because there's all those rumors about Nintendo sitting on a bunch of games. But Luigi's Mansion 3 sold incredible.
I'll give
like-
you that the Mario movie will help Luigi Mansion
Yes.
sell even more.
And the Mario
Mhm.
movie as well.
Yeah.
That's just another Mario type with the build off of that.
Yeah.
Luigi's probably going to be a pretty popular character based on reactions so far.
Mhm.
It could make quite a bit of sense to drop that next October. And again, I'm just picking October because that's what they did with Luigi's Mansion 3.
Mhm.
They don't have to do that, but it's a haunted house game. Sort of feels like it should be in the month that's all about haunted stuff.
Mhm.
But it could be whatever, really.
How about a mini movie? Like at the beginning of Super Mario movie, a mini, like one of those little mini
Little
movies
shorts
with
things, yeah.
Luigi in the mansion.
Ooh, what if that's
Oh,
like an end
Oh,
movie
a
cut?
bonus,
Oh,
a bonus scene
that
at
could
the
be
end.
in-
That
Yeah.
could be an end
Credits.
credit scene.
That'd be
Oh,
crazy.
and then all of a sudden we get the game, and then there's like a Luigi Mansion movie coming out after, like some point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhere in the game, there's a hidden Luigi's Mansion trailer, movie trailer.
Hey, that would be crazy. Just get this whole metaverse going. Let's go.
Yeah.
All the references. So there's the Luigi's Mansion 4. I really would like to see that next year. I don't know that it's going to be. It could. They might just do a once per generation thing and have it come out on the next system. But never know. It could be a next system next year. Maybe that's a reason to release it. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I do think it's been 3 years, and I think the engine they're using is incredible. They could use it again. I as long as they got the ideas.
Solid.
And obviously 3 sold really, really well. They're clearly going to keep making more Luigi's Mansion. And Next Level Games
Yeah.
has shown massive improvements from Dark Moon to 3. Like they show they can go next level with Luigi's Mansion. I'm really curious what they could do.
I would like
Nothing
them
wrong.
to output more games because the last like decade it's been every 3 years. Dark Moon was 2013, Federation Forces 2016, then Mansion 3 in 19, then Strikers in 2022. Like they whenever they develop something, it's great. So
Yeah, I look at it as after Nintendo bought them, I feel like maybe they got emboldened and expanded their teams. I can't prove that. I'd have to go dig through a bunch of hiring posts to see if
when
they've
they
really
announced
expanded,
Luigi's
but-
Mansion 4 next year,
Well, that might be proof then, because obviously they
Yeah,
would have been developing 2 games at once.
Yeah.
Which also means they're all working on another game on top of that. I don't know what it would mean. Something. So that's one prediction. Another one is someone actually brought it up in the chat. And the hoops to get through it, I actually did some research on this before the show. So I wanted to bring it up, and it's actually not that bad. Nintendo basically owns all the rights. It's not really that big of a deal. And that would be this comment here by Dead Walking 89. Speaking of things that would make me hype, a remaster of Eternal Darkness.
Ooh.
All part of the GameCube remaster initiative.
Yep. And you know what? That's a thing that I truly believe is happening. And I
Right
don't know
after
what games
Prime
will be
Remaster.
part of it, but I'm going to predict that that's going to be one that drops next year.
I would
Nintendo
love
likes
that.
Nintendo likes to have some obscure games like that sometimes that maybe aren't super expensive to put in HD and remaster, and you just wouldn't think they'd do it. I mean, remember we got those games from remade from the NES that were exclusive in Japan out of nowhere. I forgot what those are called. Why am I drawing a blank on them? Fammy something. Anyways, we got those games just super obscure, didn't sell very well, but Nintendo said, "Hey, they're legacy. Let's get these over. We never released them in the West." So, and someone in the chat will probably correct me on what the name of those games were. Famicom Detective Club. There it is. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. So they do like to do these random games that you just don't really think they touch again. And this isn't as random because it's actually a critically acclaimed horror game. There was just a lot of drama with stuff back in the day, which is why we never got a direct sequel to it. But that doesn't matter. Nintendo owns all the rights to the original. They could easily bring it back, even if they don't feel like they have a team to make a sequel or anything right now. Like going back to the Silicon Knights, well, it wouldn't work. It's an entirely different team now. What's also interesting to me is I think there's something coming from Platinum. I don't know necessarily what it's going to be. There's obvious ones like Astral Chain 2. I think Astral Chain did well enough for a second one to come out. And they've said they want interest in it. Obviously, we got Bayonetta Origins, so you can say, oh, we already got our Platinum game. But I think there's an even bigger game than that coming. Could be a new IP because they tend to dip to Platinum for new IPs. So it could be something like that. Could be a Wonderful 101 sequel because it has been spoken that he really wants to make a sequel to that. And I don't know if that's something that Nintendo would greenlight. But I do think there's something new coming there. And I don't know. I don't know what it is. So I'm just thinking there's something from Platinum coming besides Bayonetta next year. I just don't know what it is. What is it? Is that 3? I said I have 4, right? Yes, I said 3. Okay. All right. My fourth one is Zelda related, and it's something that came up earlier, but I was leaving it alone because it was in my predictions because I think it'll be its own game. The problem is it's not going to be where people want it to be. Remember, these are just predictions for 2023. It's going to be a phone game.
Yep, I
Zelda
agree.
Mobile.
It's going to be Zelda Dungeon Maker.
That was rumored a long time ago for
Zelda Dungeon Maker for phones. It's gonna build off the Link's Awakening stuff. Everything in the Link's Awakening Dungeon Maker could easily be done on phones. Add online multiplayer. Add a few more features. Put in gacha mechanics to unlock, different puzzle elements and item uses and stuff. Yeah, different costumes. Maybe you get playable Zelda or something. I don't know. Like they could do a lot of crazy things with it. They do gacha mechanics for all the Zelda characters if they want. Make them playable just for fun, even though there's like no technical difference between them. It's just
they could do a Mario Maker and give us different graphical styles.
Yeah, could do that. And again, I would prefer if they were going to do a Zelda Dungeon Maker, I'd prefer they just go all out and make like a giant console type and even a 3D Dungeon Maker like we were speculating on earlier, possibly with Tears of the Kingdom or something for a multiplayer mode. I would prefer that. But I do think that Zelda's it's one of those major IPs that they just haven't brought over to phones yet. And we do a Zelda game coming next year, and they seem to line up phone games, and usually they come up before a new game. But maybe this is in lieu of we're releasing the Tears of the Kingdom, then we have Zelda Dungeon Maker on phones, followed by a top-down Zelda in 2024, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, because I do think this isn't a 2023 prediction. I do think Grezzo is making a new top-down Zelda game for 2024.
Okay.
But that's not a 2023 prediction. But it kind of follows in lieu of they'll have the mobile Zelda app, which I'm predicting to be Zelda Dungeon Maker. It could be something else. I have no idea.
Yeah,
And then
I love the idea, and I feel like a dungeon maker needs to happen. But I think Nintendo understands the amount of backlash there would be if the 2D dungeon maker went to mobile. I also
Do
feel
they?
like I
don't know.
like. Well, history will tell us. Will reveal what actually happens. Obviously,
Wait,
right?
no,
But
for sure.
I think Nintendo's a little bit smarter now than they used to be. And we've also seen other companies make this mistake. Like, what was that game that was announced not too long ago? There was like a Diablo mobile game. There
Diablo,
was a lot
Right.
of backlash
Eternal.
there.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I feel
fun
like Nintendo
game.
would
Too many
understand that.
paywalls.
And also, they're not like that gung ho about mobile. Like, they are making mobile games, but it's not like their primary focus. So I think whatever they do for mobile, it's something that they're very conscientious of and careful about, and they don't want to do anything to impact their IP's brand. So I think that if they do something Zelda mobile, it makes sense. You know, you want to push Tears of the Kingdom. Like, I'm all for that idea. I think it makes sense. I just think it wouldn't be something that we really want on console. I think it would be just a different direction.
Well, do they do the Pokemon Unite type of thing? And granted, Pokemon is Game Freak and the Pokemon
Yeah.
Company, but do they make it playable on mobile, but also here's a free eShop download that you can do? Like, I can maybe see them do something like that. Because the problem is,
Sure.
if they only put it on mobile, I do agree that Legend of Zelda is one of those franchises that will cause backlash. But then I also think Nintendo knows they have a whole nother generation of gamers growing up playing Roblox and Minecraft on their phones that
Mhm.
if they can hit a Nintendo icon, they're going to want it on that
It
platform too.
could also be like a cross-platform thing. Like
was gonna say,
you could
I was
have
just gonna
you could
say
have
that.
all these gotcha stupid money-making mechanics on phone, but then you could just buy the full game for like $30 on Switch and just have everything. And then you can
Yeah.
cross-play each other's dungeons between the devices. I mean, it's not impossible. We've seen, Fortnite and other games, have that cross-play with mobile and console.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's-
I think a lot of
happening
people
more
would
and
be more
more.
okay with that.
I think that's why this is a different topic entirely, but that's why like the whole Discord integration on games or all consoles needs to happen sooner rather than later, because we're already getting that with Call of Duty, Fortnite, Fall Guys, even like all of these cross-platform play. And I think 10 years in the future, we only lean more into that. So like the quicker companies get that mentality on like whatever device you want to play on, just play our stuff, the better,
Oh, you want us another great thing they could do for Switch 2? That would be like, hey, buy the system, Discord integration. That would be
It'd be huge.
supreme.
Mm.
Also, maybe an audio jack in the controller so we can plug in headsets, or
And
at least have like a
how about
dedicated
streaming
Bluetooth
to YouTube?
headset.
How about streaming to YouTube and Twitch straight from the console? With
On
the
a
mic-
new system.
with
On a
the
new
mic-
system, yeah.
If
mean,
if they come, yeah, maybe.
PS4, Xbox One, that was fully compatible out of the gate. If we're assuming that whatever's next with Nintendo hardware is up to that level at least, then in
Yep.
theory they should be
I,
able to do that.
I have an Xbox Series S and it streams to Twitch flawlessly.
I mean,
Mhm.
it's good. It's good marketing for their games. So like, why it makes sense, right? Like, I actually feel like the share feature on Switch is pretty good. It's not something I would have expected Nintendo to do before they had it, and I think it's something that's maybe sometimes people overlook on Switch.
Underutilized, yeah.
Yeah,
So listen, I think I'm looking at a trademark here. Registration date. I was like confused, like registration date December 29, 2022, but then I realized that in Japan it's 1:58 p.m.
Yeah, yeah.
So it automatically kind of it actually goes together. So this trademark is reissued. It was reissued basically today, and it's
Yep.
for Donkey Kong. And it's for Donkey Konga.
no,
Yes!
Yes.
Please tell me it's coming back.
Yeah, Donkey
Let's go.
They're just protecting the name. It doesn't mean it's coming out next
I
year. But
mean,
Let's go.
It was just registered trademark.
GameCube
Great.
remasters, baby. Let's do
Today.
it.
the GameCube remaster
Let's
initiative.
do it, dude. I want to beat some bongos. Let's go.
That's-
Let's do it.
that's one direction.
I'll share the link. I'll share the link in the chat.
They
That
better
way
make
you guys
enough
can
of
know.
those damn controllers to sell. I swear, if it's like the N64
Bongos that
controller.
attach to the sides of the Switch.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
That's one direction I don't want them to go with Donkey Kong. I think we could let that one die.
Oh, come
the
on,
console
rhythm
it's
games,
on.
baby. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Except it's like an actual game with rhythm. Let's do it.
I feel like they looked around at what Rock Band and Guitar Hero were doing, and they were just like, you know what, we got a franchise that can do this. Let's sell them drums, and like.
But what if it's a part of the game? It's like a section of the game. Like there's mini games in it. There's a mini game inside the Donkey Kong game that you actually use a conga with.
So this is what I think the next Donkey Kong is going to be. I think that the actual Donkey Kong, right? Like, I think Nintendo's probably focused on 3D Mario, and I would love to see another 2D Mario. I feel like if we get whichever Mario we get this year, we get together next year, hopefully. But I also think the Donkey Kong game, at this point, I think it's going to be a 2.5D Donkey Kong, which I know will disappoint some people. But think about how good Metroid Dread was and how it had like that 2.5D gameplay. There's a lot of moments that wasn't 3D behind the shoulder. Since we're talking about Donkey Kong Konga, that inevitably also brings up the conversation of bringing back a new version of the actual bongos, right? They could attach to the Joy-Cons. Well, it wasn't just Donkey Kong and Donkey Konga 2 that were compatible with those bongos, but also Jungle Beat, which was a 2D Donkey Kong game that was 2.5D, had 3D visuals. There was a lot of moments where the camera would cut behind Donkey Kong's shoulder. There were 3D boss fights. It was a pretty good looking game for GameCube. It was actually made by the developer that went on to make Mario Galaxy. So it was pretty.
Sorry.
So,
You're all right, Mike. We got you.
But anyway, I could see a situation where maybe they do bring back the Conga line as a side thing, not like as a serious thing. Maybe it's a mobile game. That would actually work.
That's
really
a mobile
well.
game right there. Mm-hmm.
Well, it actually says you know what the trademark says. It actually mentions for console and mobile.
Okay.
Oh,
and maybe,
here we
maybe it's
go.
both. And
Let me go ahead.
the point is, though, they could bring back the bongos, and if they have another 2.5D Donkey Kong game, it could play like Jungle Beat.
Yeah,
I
record
think people
electronic game.
really like it.
So it
Still
says
have-
recorded
still have
electronic
standard
game.
control too, but it would just be like an alternative.
That's the
Yeah, so it
DK
says
game coming out
for
next year.
says video game machines, cases for smartphone, covers for smartphone recording, computer game software for smartphone
Look at the
gaming,
bongo case for phones. Hell yeah,
feature, fiction, stories, booklets, manuals, and all that stuff.
dude. You're gonna have like foldable bongos over the top, and it's like, never mind. I can't talk to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bring it.
Clarify the Conga game, the Rhythm Donkey Kong. I would see that being mobile if they want to have a Switch version too. But like the actual Donkey Kong Switch would be like actual Donkey Kong gameplay. That would be on Switch, not mobile.
Yeah, if it's a mobile, it's like tapping the
Primify.
screen.
Hang on, Primify in chat. I'm with him because DK Hero, if they do it with a full band and we're doing the Donkey Kong rap, but with all of our own controllers, bring back a Guitar Hero type of vibe where it's a 4-player, different members of the band. Somebody can sing.
The
somebody
rock
can play
band
the
style.
drums.
We get
Rock-
the old
yeah.
drums back. Let's do it.
If they do it right, I can see it happening that way.
What if they have a Labo set that allows you to make different like Donkey Kong
Yes.
instruments and it's
There it is.
compatible?
Yes, revive.
That'd be kind of fun.
It's kind of funny. Every time Lab was brought up, I just keep thinking of the cardboard thing. It looks like an elephant, but all it is a drawing painting game. It makes like
What?
you have this. You guys haven't seen that? Like I own it. It's the most ridiculous
Is it
setup
the one
ever. It
that's
goes
like
on the
jetpack
glasses, and it
thing?
literally looks
Oh.
like a giant elephant nose. And all it really is a painting game. Like it's got nothing to do with elephants.
Is it the VR one?
Yes, it's dumb.
Okay.
It's fun, but like you look stupid. There's
This
no
mug
point.
looks
There's
like a
no
Donkey
point to
Kong
this
mug,
giant elephant-looking thing.
Right? This looks like a Donkey Kong mug.
I mean,
If you threw the DK logo on the black part right in
Sure.
the middle,
Right.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you could sell it as a DK
I
mug.
feel like it needs a bit more barrel look to it for me.
No barrel.
A little bit more barrel. Pint glass barrel. I'm gonna have to go get one of those. I bet you they exist. There's gotta be a DK pint glass barrel somewhere.
Yeah, they'll sell it at Super Nintendo World. You have like the giant
Exactly.
barrel.
You know what? I'm gonna go straight to the alcohol stand and be like, "What souvenir do we got that I can get that's just massive?" Oh, and that's gonna cost me $150.
I
Well,
think there's no alcohol at Super Nintendo World.
probably isn't. Actually, I have no idea. They do sell alcohol in Universal Parks.
Well, once
They
they
do,
add
but
the
there's no
Zelda
alcohol in the
expansion,
part- in the
they'll
Super
have
Nintendo
that
area.
milk bar.
There you go.
I wonder if that's even true at the restaurants they have there too.
No,
Listen, I'm working on the Super Nintendo World complete guide, and there's no alcohol in the park.
Yeah.
Well, that's just confirmed. I'm never
they
going.
rated it E10 plus, and they took out the Gerudo bar, so it's not.
But-
it's not
but-
in the works.
There's alcohol in E10. I'm just, you know what? They don't have to call it. Oh, they can just call it the Milk Bar, but we all know what's going on.
I'll be at the milk bar.
I'll be at the milk. Well, thanks for confirming. I'm never going. Damn. Well, you know what? There can't be a milk bar to the Zelda. That's why. See, it's the ultimate guide. The Zelda section hasn't been added yet. That's where the alcohol
Has
is.
not.
If they did the milk bar from Majora's Mask full on in a Nintendo World
It'll
theme
be
park,
amazing.
yeah, I would hang out there. I would have to move. I would actually have to move. That would be
Yeah,
my
no,
spot.
you go order. It's just full glasses of rum chata or something.
Yeah.
They better have cookies there.
Yeah,
Right?
they better have cookies. Well, the one in California might have more than just cookies inside. You'll have to find out what that milk bar's serving. Anyways, is that what we got? Is that what we got for predictions next year? I mean, Donkey Kong seems like pretty strong at this point. Lots of Donkey Kong, something happening.
Yeah. Donkey Kong t-shirts.
No Metroid. We all agree on that.
No, that's
No, we don't.
I agree. Metroid. I say Metroid Prime 4 is coming out next year.
Is that a vibe? Is that a hope?
No, that's it's gonna happen. It's solid.
Is that a will?
That's not even a will. It's
No, he just knows.
No, like
throwing it
you
out
really
there.
know. I know what I know.
No.
Do you know where he works? You know the access he might have. Because
I
of it?
I will shave my eyebrows.
Whoa.
Oh no!
Oh boy.
Did you clear? Is this wife?
No. Don't wait. Hold
Yeah.
on a second.
I will
Whoa.
shave my eyebrows right after I confirm it with
Okay, we're getting a Jeff Grubb mistake already.
right,
We're not even
right.
to 2023 yet.
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 4.
Mike, you mean and you're a man of your word. Those eyebrows will be gone on January
Listen,
1st.
listen,
2023.
Listen,
2024,
I remember clearly, and at that shareholder meeting, I saw that at the end of that PDF where they were talking about all the 2023 games, and even though Metroid Prime 4 was the only one without a date, it was there.
Yes, it's confirmed it's still being made. You're correct. They didn't
Was
cancel
there.
it. Congrats.
Yes.
And I'm on LinkedIn yesterday. I'm like on LinkedIn, just checking out and checking stuff on LinkedIn, and all of a sudden I see it pop up. Oh, come work for Retro Studios. We're working on Metroid Prime 4. You want to work here?
Oh, we're working on Metroid Prime 4. Come work for us because this means the game's coming out next year.
I think the Metroid Prime hype will begin next year. I think we will see a quick glimpse of footage for Prime 4, and we'll be enjoying Prime HD.
I will be
Nah.
enjoying
I don't think so.
eyebrowless Mike
Mike.
for the
Nope.
final
Well,
live stream.
I
of
don't. I
2024.
think he has to check with his wife or something first,
Yeah.
right?
He already said it. He already put it out there. So
Metroid Prime 4 for the fall of 2023.
At least he didn't say he has to get rid of all his body hair because
Yeah,
I don't know if I
Jesus.
want to see that.
Yeah.
Metroid
You
Prime
would not
4.
have to prove that.
Metroid
No, I
Prime.
know what Mike looks like without the beard. I've
Yeah,
seen
I'll
beardless.
tell
Mike.
you this:
Not
if
that
you're
bad.
right, there is literally no way in hell that new hardware does not come out next year.
Metroid Prime 4.
I do feel like Metroid Prime 4 is running on new hardware more than likely.
Yeah.
Before.
But is it next
You
year?
are
But is it next
convicted to
year?
this. I understand, and I'm convicted to no Metroid next year.
I don't think it is. I think I do agree with Andre that that's when we see Prime Remake or Prime Trilogy HD, and I hope it's Prime Trilogy HD. But the whole hearsay about if we are to believe the Grub talk,
Well,
that it's
here,
more
let
the big
me
voice
explain why
remake.
there's no Metroid next year. Because Metroid Prime 4 is not coming in 2024. It's coming in 2025. Okay. And
that far out,
but
huh?
they're not dumb. They're not dumb. Because okay, I believe Metroid Prime HD is done. I believe it's been done. So instead, because they were going to release games one at a time, now they're actually working on 2 and 3 to put that in HD, and they'll release it as a trilogy in 2024.
You know what? I'm going to go as far as to say Metroid Prime 4 will be in the Nintendo Direct in February.
Stop! If we keep this up, you're gonna say they're
Did you
announcing it
set the
tomorrow.
eyebrows on that? Are the eyebrows bet on that?
Like the Rock.
But you won't have the eyebrows to do that anymore.
I will shave half of one
Half of one in February? Oh, God. If it doesn't happen?
if Metroid Prime 4 doesn't make it to the Nintendo February Direct.
I mean, at least you could do it as a safe one and be like, if Zelda's not in that direct, then I will do. Like,
I would do
okay,
it.
like that's pretty safe.
Yeah,
I already
You
know
don't like
it's coming
safe.
out.
You don't like safe. Because
No.
watch, it won't even be a February direct, and then
Yeah,
what
right.
happens?
It's kind of boring if it's safe.
Oh my gosh, Mike. Speaking of that, before we end the show, I do need to hand Eric his trophy.
Ah.
Because he won something, folks.
For once
Believe
in
it
my
or
life.
not. And he won something where you actually have something to prove it.
Yeah.
all the time. It's got your name on it.
Whoa.
So can we get a drum roll, please? I don't know.
Wah, wah, wah.
Well, let me get my Donkey Konga drum.
Donkey Kong. Oh, jeepers. Hey,
All right.
there's a drum roll.
There it is. All right. He has not seen this yet. So
No, I have not.
all right. Oh, we gotta put Eric on the big screen though. He's gotta be able to show everyone.
Record stopping.
That was a great drum roll. I love it. All right.
I'll put some
Here you go,
music
Eric.
on it.
Congrats on winning the betting special, bud.
Nice. Oh, nice.
Full engraved.
Yeah.
Show it off to the crowd.
Ah, look at that.
An actual
Nice.
trophy. He won the Game Awards
Try to
betting
see if I can
special.
go to you.
Yeah,
I'll see if I
yeah,
can
we can go to me.
Go to
My
you.
camera's,
Go-
my
your
camera's
camera's
are
way
better.
better.
Try to get the text in there.
Take a picture of it and throw it on Twitter.
Yeah, I probably will. It says betting special awards winner, the Game Awards 2022, Eric Moore.
Yeah.
He's the first person with an engraving on a trophy. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens. The next betting special is probably not till E3. So it's going to be what? It's going to be a trophy holder.
Will I
We'll see
get
what
my trophy
happens.
if I shave my eyebrows?
Mike,
Like a trophy with 2 eyebrows like that. It's like
Yeah.
print one.
Well, you shave your eyebrows off. You ship the hair to us. We'll paste it to a trophy.
But wait, if I win, I don't have to shave
No,
my
no.
eyebrows.
Yeah.
But
I'm
Nate
not
has
making
to do
any,
it.
I don't make any bet that makes my fiance get mad at me. So. She already doesn't like when I do the bomb hot sauce because she saw me do it during Prime Gaming Fest multiple times and she was scared for my life.
Don't forget
Um,
our bet. We have a bet now.
Oh, I'm aware. I'm not worried about that bet though. Like I just told you that people around here do the polar plunge for fun.
Yeah.
So like ice bucket challenge. I mean, I don't really want to do it, but I'll do it.
For those who don't know, the bet is that within 2 years of Metroid Prime 4's release,
All right, dude. You'll forget
it will
about that.
sell at least 5 million copies. I say yes. He said no. Whoever loses has to pour ice water on their naked body.
I mean, what?
Well, I mean,
Shirtless,
wow.
shirtless.
Shirtless.
There will be
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
underwear
hold up
on.
now.
That
It is
can't go
naked
live
and
on YouTube.
There'll never be
but-
evidence. There will never be evidence.
Right.
That's hilarious, man. Guys, not worried about shrinkage.
So you think 2 years Metroid Prime 4 doesn't sell 5 million copies? Not 1 year, but 2 years it doesn't.
He thinks
Weird.
Metroid Dread's is a better seller than
No.
Prime.
I didn't say Metroid Dread's a better seller. I just said Metroid Prime 4 is not going to sell 5 million. I think it could sell less than Metroid Dread, but I'm not saying that it will. But less than 5 mil in 2 years, absolutely.
By
Want to
the
know
way,
what my
Metroid
logic
Dread
was?
still hasn't been out for 2 years yet.
I
It's
have
gonna be
a
closer.
very good logical reason for this
Because go ahead.
because it's got a 4 in the name, so people think they got to play the prior ones to play this one.
Which is why we need the Prime games to come out first on the
I
Nintendo Switch.
understand that. I also don't think the Prime trilogy is going to sell that well either. So.
They're gonna be on Nintendo Online.
But we didn't make a bet on that one, and because we don't even know if it's a trilogy or a single game. It's hard to bet on something that's not even announced. At least Prime 4 has been announced. So
Mhm.
I am a proponent of them treating it like 2D Metroid, where they have the trailer, they will say, "Oh, this is Metroid Prime 4," but then the actual name is something different.
all I'm
So
saying
it's
is,
Metroid
sometime in the
Prime.
next 5 years, there will be a bathtub stream of Andres Restart dumping ice on himself. It's just gonna happen.
It's gonna happen 3 years.
Then
from
again,
now.
you know what?
Prime
He lives
4
down
is
in
gonna-
Florida. He doesn't need to be in a bathtub. If I do it, I'm gonna have to wait till the middle of winter, and I'll double up the challenge of the polar plunge combined with the ice bucket challenge. Might as well just do it all
jump
at
into
once.
the freezing lake and then dump an ice bucket over
Yeah,
your head.
there you go.
You know what's
I mean-
gonna
I
be
get
great,
out.
though?
Oh, I'm cold. I'm cold. You ain't done yet.
What's going to be great though is what's actually going to happen is that Prime 4 is going to come out holiday 2024, and by I'll say March 2025, it'll be looking like it's selling like Kirby in the Forgotten
Here's the
Land.
deal.
It'll already have passed 5
You'll know
million.
if I'm worried because when it comes out and if it starts exploding in sales out the gate, you'll know I'm worried, guys, because I'm going to start hitting the gym hard. Because I have told myself I'll never take my shirt off
Like,
for a
oh,
video.
no stream tonight. Gotta go to the gym.
I literally I got 2 years after the game comes out to get in the best shape of my life. So
It's good. 2 years from now, dude. 2 years.
I'm hoping I have 2 years.
Wait,
It could be
wait,
6
2
months.
years? No, 2 years
I'm
from the
hoping I
launch
have
of
2 years.
Metroid. 2 years from the launch of Metroid Prime 4. So that's not even from now. It's
But what
Yeah.
if they announce it at
I mean,
at an
here's the
investors
thing.
meeting?
I'm so confident when I'm done with the stream, I'm gonna go eat some tacos. I'm just that confident. I'm not even worried about it.
Ooh,
Tacos.
tacos. That's exciting. Maybe I'll go to Taco Bell. Anyway, let me point some, let me point
Homemade
something out
tacos,
to
a
you.
little
Though.
healthier.
Let me point something out to you though. I have 2 years. You don't, because if Prime 4 sells like hotcakes immediately,
That's
it
what I
has
said.
very
Yeah,
much-
that's
Did you not hear what I said?
Yeah.
You don't
And-
know
but-
I'm worried if it starts selling like hotcakes. I'm immediately starving myself and going to the gym.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing, though. It could even conceivably it could be less than a year. What if Mike is right? They just can the Prime games. They go straight to Prime 4. It's actually ready, and it's one of those things where it's a very quick announcement to release timing. So think about this: Xenoblade Chronicles 3 announced in the February Direct. When did it come out? July. It was
Yep.
like
Right.
what? Like that's and Xenoblade Chronicles 3. You know, I mean, probably not going to sell as much as Prime 4. I don't know. There's a debate there. But point is, there are major games that sometimes are announced and released within half a year.
I know.
So it's
He's
possible.
trying to convince me to work out now because he thinks he's going to win.
Prime
Reality
4
is,
could be announced in
I'm
just
not worried
like
about it.
7 weeks from now or something, early February, and
Yeah,
it comes out like in July, and then it sells like 5 million before the end of the year.
Tears of the
You
Kingdom
have
will
less than a
gobble
year.
that up. I'm
You
not
have
worried
less
about
than a
it.
year to get in the best shape of your life.
No. Tears of the Kingdom is going to prevent anything from like selling well
It's
next
time to
year.
be one of those people who gets a gym membership in January as a part of their New Year's resolution.
I would not get a gym membership.
I will sell you my gym set. It's still in the box in the garage.
Yulia would like me to get
With
a gym,
Ring
though.
Fit
That
Adventure
works.
bundled in.
I was gonna say
But-
it's if you start seeing a bunch of Ring Fit Adventure streams on Nate's channel, you know he's worried.
No. If you're friends with me on my Switch and you start seeing the hours in Ring Fit piling up,
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, do a
You'll know.
2-for-1 approach. Just start a Ring Fit Adventure live stream second channel, and then just stream
Yeah.
all the time. You know,
Yeah.
watch
Yeah.
Fat Man stream
promote.
wanna
Ring
point
Fit,
out,
trying to get in shape
Javier
before he
Nunez,
must take his
I
shirt off.
agree.
Embarrassing. stream.
Tacos are better outside of Taco Bell, but it is past midnight for me. I have no
Yeah.
idea what else is open near me. That I
you got
can-
any food trucks around you? That's where you need to go.
Oh, there you
need to
go.
There is a
Late night
Colombian
food
food
trucks.
truck that's really awesome, but it's not tacos. It's Colombian food, and it's usually
Oh,
on
no.
the
Okay.
weekends. So.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Although
Colombian
HMK apparently lives in my area, so maybe I should ask him. Maybe he
Yeah.
knows. where we
Colombian-
go.
He probably knows all the spots. He
Colombian
needs to tell me
Puerto
where I
Rico.
can get some dark berry Dr. Pepper again
Mhm.
because I don't make it anymore. That stuff was bomb. It's like $25 a case now. It's ridiculous. Anyways, all right. Well, I think that's going to wrap up the show. So let's go around. We'll start with Mike since he's already on the big screen over there. Mike, what do you do? Where can they find you? And you want to tease the upcoming content or anything else?
All right. So you can find me at Mike Odyssey on YouTube, Mike Odyssey YT on Twitter, Mike Odyssey YT on Instagram. I have a TikTok. I don't really pay attention to that thing. Also Mike Odyssey YT. Right now, what do I have going on? I still have the 20K milestone going on with 2 Nintendo Switches. The 2 OLEDs. One is Splatoon Edition. One is Pokemon Edition. I picked them up both just for that. So I got that giveaway going on. And that's about it. Tomorrow I'll probably do another rant video. Another rant video on a Switch Pro coming out
The
in
rap.
2023.
Did you say rap? Video?
Rant. Oh, I do
Oh.
have a rap video, a rap song. You guys want to preview it?
The DK
I
rap.
thought is it a rap song for Switch 2? You just going on?
No, it's actually the Mike Odyssey official rap song.
Sure. Let's debut. Let's go.
Welcome to my Odyssey. Everybody follow me.
Yo.
See, hit the like, press play. You're running with the squad like Xenoblade. Drive like Mario, we on a new wave. Never slow down, winners don't need no breaks. And we won't fade, our shine gets greater. Staying on the ball like Pokemon trainers. From the nest to the Wii dangerous. You can button mash, but it ain't gonna save you. Do it for for the gamers. Y'all ain't gotta worry. Flying over all the competition like Kirby. Nintendo, you gon' get it in a hurry. Something new drop, I'll be on it bright and early. I'm going hard, don't know what else to tell ya. The missing link, like I was looking for Zelda. Leave a comment so I know more about you. Welcome to the Odyssey. Well, now we out here. Odyssey. Everybody follow me. Welcome to my Odyssey. Everybody come follow me. Hit the like, subscribe, let's have a good time. I got what you want to see. Welcome to my Odyssey. We going in, no apologies. Don't waste no time, sit back, recline. This is where you want to be. Welcome to the Odyssey. Take your time to see. We can build a new world like Minecraft, Steve. New video out like Minecraft. Make sure to stop by anytime I stream. I like to dream, keep you inspired. Look to the future and see what you find. Let's journey together, one leap at a time. It's your time to shine, so reach for the sky. My Odyssey. Everybody follow me.
You gotta get this animated, man. Blow up.
To my Odyssey. Everybody come follow me. Hit the like, subscribe, let's have a good time. I got what you want to see. Welcome to my Odyssey. We going in, no apologies. Don't waste no time, sit back, recline. This is where you want to be. Yeah.
Be careful. That was a whole setup for Mike Odyssey to claim the stream for copyright. He's getting all the revenue.
My guy's
shit.
taking
Watch
all
out.
the money made tonight, you
It's
bastard.
impossible because it's not even up anywhere yet, so I don't have it on anything. This
I mean,
special.
what do you
No,
make
I hear
claims over
YouTube
anything?
doesn't check.
Yeah.
They don't care.
Yeah, they don't check anything. You make a claim.
How if they claim it once it's in the system? Like for example, I use TuneCore to distribute music. Then TuneCore claims music for on my behalf. It's nowhere. It's just. I just finished the song like a month ago.
Well, congrats on earning the monetization for tonight, Mike.
Yeah, congrats. This might be the most watched episode of all time, and you just took all my money. Thanks. All right, Andres, restart. What you got going on? Where can they find you? Got any upcoming content you want to tease?
Yeah, actually. So I actually misspelled my name because I was in a rush to get into this app that I had not
I
used
saw that.
before.
I was like,
I was like, Andre Restart. I mean, it's fine. Andre's okay. Then I was like,
easy to fix. It's easy to fix.
Yeah, I realized at first I thought you put the name. I was like, oh, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Then I was like, wait a second, no.
I could have
mistaken.
changed it. I could have
Yeah.
changed it for you.
But I fixed it later on. So my name is Andres, and my YouTube name is Andres Restart. So if you type that name in, Andres Restart, you will find me. Just Google it. I'll be right there. I make YouTube content like most people here, and I talk about pretty much only Nintendo, highly speculative stuff. So yeah, check me out there. You can find me on Twitter and other places too, but YouTube is where I'm mostly active. In terms of like projects, so I have a Metroid video tomorrow, especially after Nate talks so much about how there's not Metroid happening. I'm gonna make an argument as to why there is Metroid happening next year. So that's coming out tomorrow. Probably.
Did I get a shout out for the inspiration?
Sure, I'll give you a shout out if you want to. That's fine. And then
Because the
another
shout out
thing,
makes me look bad, so that's okay. I'm good.
there was a little bit of contentiousness, but I actually think it's good that we had debate. Like debate is healthy. But another project I do want to tease, especially now, because thank you, Sunbro Nation, for telling me how I can download Twilight Princess HD. I'm playing through both Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, and I'm not sure if it's going to happen this Monday or the next Monday, but I'm going to do a special versus discussion where I debate which game is better, Twilight Princess or Wind Waker. So that's coming too.
Nice.
Two different timelines.
Nice.
Yeah, are they?
Multiverse is coming together.
They are different timelines.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Child and adult.
You see, I'm learning. You see, I'm studying. I got that wiki book.
Oh my gosh. What he's not telling you is he gets all his information off a Ouija board. Sunbro Nation, what do you got going on? Where can they find you?
Yep, Sunbro Nation on YouTube, and then everything else out there, Twitter, Instagram, but I'm really only active on Twitter besides YouTube. So if you want to interact with me and talk to me, Facebook is out there, but I don't look at it much. six Nintendo focused gaming news content videos per week. Sometimes it's news stories, sometimes it's speculation based off what happened in the week. Just a lot of fun getting your guys' opinions and sharing my opinions. That's the entire concept, and enjoy it
Discussion
all
while playing games, making me jealous.
Well, that's a lot of fun for me, but it's also very hard because whenever to talk about multitasking, my brain goes.
It's
all
hard
over
to
the place.
talk and play games at the same time. Yeah,
But he's good at it though. Because I'm like this guy. I watched the video just to see that. Like this guy's watching him and talking. He's like focus on the
well,
conversation.
here he is. Here he is talking about GoldenEye coming to Switch, and he's playing GoldenEye, and he's just dominating.
Dominating the game
he's
and the
talking
conversation.
coherently. I don't know what's happening.
I had a ton of fun playing Donkey Kong Country 2, talking about the possibility of Donkey Kong returning. That's a lot like that. Those are actually some of the funnest videos for me. But whatever's going on in the Nintendo world, we talk about it 6 days a week on the channel. Nothing super special as far as a project right now. I intend to live stream more, both on my main channel and second channel now, and as well as starting to create shorts content. But that's like based off schedule timeline thing that's kind of going to be depending either the next 3, 6, or 12 months. So anyway, I'll have some extra stuff cooking down the line, but feel free to check me out on YouTube, Sunbro Nation, and then Twitter would be the secondary social media platform I'd recommend following on.
Any plans to be on the Nintendo Prime podcast 6-pack more often?
Absolutely. I had a blast with you guys tonight. Honestly, it was a great time.
It was a new concept.
Yep.
Good
dynamic. This many people, a lot of ideas went around, a lot of either multiple people saw the same side of the coin or we saw opposing sides of the coin. Like it was actually really, it was a lot of fun to hear all the different perspectives. So I'm all for it. So I'll be here as much as I can, and hopefully more of a regular going forward. So
that'd be nice. Eric, where can they find you?
Wow. I have Twitter. Emo8790.
Yeah, Emo8790, and you can find them right here at the Nintendo Prime podcast. Or in some of our E3 coverage, if and when it happens, or in a 2024 Nintendo Con. But shh, hush, hush. We're one day.
Coming from inside the house.
Obviously, I'm on my own platform, so most of you guys know who I am. I'm Nate, Nintendo Prime, where you can catch me anywhere. If it's the first time you ever heard or saw the show because came over here because one of our guests or whatever, I make a bunch of videos on news. I do shorts on like neat little Nintendo facts and Easter eggs and stuff like that. I do discussion stuff. I do live streams, and we have this weekly podcast, which, as you can see with this experimental episode towards the end of the year, I'm trying to take the podcast to a different level heading into the next year. With more guests on more often, trying to keep it hopefully at 6 per week, but we'll see. Schedules can be very difficult to try to get people on. I like having regulars, but schedules are always crazy that way to try to make that happen. So no pressure on anyone else here to show up next week. It's okay. But yeah, don't be surprised if I DM you. So next week. Because to be fair, I DM'd like 10 people.
Podcast of the year. It'll be the first podcast of the year, so that's like a big one.
Well, I got to get some feedback from the fans and everything as well. I know there's been a lot of feedback in the chats and people really enjoying the show because the one thing I've always wanted to do with this podcast is expand it, and I've always been a little afraid to do it. And part of my fear was just managing it all. But I'm using a specific app called Melon that has actually made this really simple. So
I might steal it from you.
It actually it costs a little money, but it's not that expensive.
Not bad.
And if I'm doing this every week, it makes so much sense to use. It's really nice. Like one of my favorite features, and I didn't even know this until we were live, is that I can do things like this.
Yep.
Thanks, Bama Hut.
Showing up the super chats like that is awesome.
I didn't even know that I could do that until the stream started, and I was like, wait a second, I moused over a super chat and I can show it on stream. Dude, it's really cool. It doesn't, obviously, it's not like the most flexible streaming thing ever. There's a lot more flexibility when you stream off it, but when you got a whole group coming together, I think this works really well. So now that I know this works well, because one thing, like obviously everyone knows about podcasts, have a lot of people on it, like Spawncast or something. I got no interest in throwing like 9-10 people on a podcast. That's to me is just, I feel like it's a little bit too much to get a good dynamic. I felt like 6 was sort of the limit.
Yeah.
If we went to more than that, it'd be totally experimental. But I thought 6 was the limit.
I'll say that I think 6 in a lot of cases could be too much, but I think we just happen to have pretty good chemistry.
Well, the dynamic, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. And I know like some of you guys didn't really even know HMK, but I already knew he'd fit right in. I
Mhm.
wasn't worried about it. But I've worked with him for many
Mhm.
years. So
And I may not be an expert, but at least I could be the comic relief. Every group has like that token Hispanic one.
it isn't just looking at my face every week, the comic relief. That's how I built my whole career, is just being the comic
I'm
relief.
surprised you still have a camera. It hasn't broken yet.
No,
Hey, there was 10
this is
gifted
the second
memberships in the chat
edition.
too.
So
10 gifted memberships.
Yep.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, Bama Hut.
we had
Shout
10
out.
gifted.
Bama Hut.
Yep.
That's why. That's why Joyce was saying, "Thank you, Bama Hut."
It didn't pop up for me. Whoa, I see it. Well, thank you, Bama Hut, for the 10 gifted. I know Bama Hut hasn't been around for a while. I do appreciate it, and I appreciate the support of the show. Looking to grow it every week, and it's kind of one of those things where we're all together, and it's like a similar crowd every week. We all kind of tend to grow together too.
Mhm.
So let's drive each other's content forward. I do want to thank everyone for taking time out of the day. Obviously, I want to make sure we shout out HMK as well for being here. You guys can check him out. HMK Killa on social media platforms like Twitch and Twitter. It's HMK on YouTube. He does a lot of theory videos on Zelda, and he does, he just beat Elden Ring, so he does a lot of game live streams as well. Kingdom Hearts as well. That's another one, and there's Kingdom Hearts 4 coming out. So if you're looking forward to that, maybe go check him out for that. He's an awesome. He's actually technically the biggest channel we had on today, but he never will. He'll never act that way. He doesn't care. He's just one of the guys. So thank you guys all for taking the time out of your day. And thank you all for watching. And the audio version will be up. We got one last super chat to get in here from Taker 610. He said, "Chemistry is so important live. You guys have it. Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
It's hard
Yeah.
to find a group of people that can that can work this well. So
I heartily appreciate it.
yep. You can check our audio version, by the way, everywhere audio podcasts are heard. Even like iHeartRadio now. We're now on that app as well. So just
I heart radio. Make sure to put a heart on that radio.
All right. Catch you guys on this podcast next week. Otherwise, on a video tomorrow.
Later.
Thanks.
See everyone. Thank you.